Chapter 1142. The mother and son had something to hide from him. Zhao Shiran smiled and nodded. He looked up at the door and quietly returned to the wing room. He sat down on the stool in the wing room and looked at the room next door. It seemed that the mother and son had a lot of secrets, and he felt that it was a little weird. In the room, old Madam leaned against the bed and had calmed down. Seeing her son come in, she said, "What's wrong with you? Why did you let that woman marry into the house? She is just a servant girl. Didn't you say that you would keep her as a plaything?" "Mother, it's all for Rudu." Xiao Jing sat down on the chair beside and said with a frown without asking his mother how she was doing. He reached out and touched his head, feeling very upset. "What's wrong with Rudu?" Old Madam was stunned and asked in astonishment. "What should we do with Ruer now? No matter who inherits the throne in the future, Bao Lin, who has no children, will be locked in the Yuhui nunnery for the rest of her life." Xiao Jing said. Old Madam's eyes sharpened and she said sharply, "What do you want?" "Mother, Prince Cheng has said that as long as Ruer can come out, he will give Ruer the position of concubine. If Prince Cheng can ascend to the throne in the future, Ruer may be promoted further." Xiao Jing lowered his voice and pointed up, which represented the throne of the highest imperial power, the Dragon Throne. "You want her to follow Prince Cheng?" Old Madam said in surprise and unconsciously lowered her voice. "Er is more optimistic about Prince Yu. Prince Yu can't defeat Prince Cheng." Xiao Jing said angrily, "If she had listened to me at the beginning, how could she have fallen into such a situation? If Prince Yu was a governor, how could he have quarreled with Prince Zhou and put our Marquis Xing's mansion in a mess?" Xiao Jing didn't blame his daughter for fooling around. He only blamed Chu Luiwei for his incompetence, which made their mansions suffer such a big loss. However, they didn't dare to talk about it, so they felt very aggrieved. "Mother, I've arranged it properly. When Yin Yang enters our mansion and brings a daughter in, Ruer can enter our mansion in the name of an illegitimate daughter. An illegitimate daughter is also a daughter. As long as I make Yin Yang a co-wife, she will be a legitimate daughter. Our mansion will admit it. It doesn't matter if others gossip about it." Concubine Lan was an illegitimate daughter at that time, but she still entered the palace. Xiao Jing said disapprovingly. Old Madam gasped and asked anxiously, "Where did you get your illegitimate daughter? I thought Yin Yang didn't give birth?" "My mother didn't give birth, but I can say that she did. No one can find out where she used to live, let alone know that she didn't have a daughter. As long as she doesn't say it and I don't say it, everyone will think that I have another daughter." Xiao Jing said. He had no choice. Xiao Yinru was his daughter who he had spent so much effort to cultivate. How could he be willing to lose her in vain? At present, it was for the good of everyone that his daughter could live a good life. For the sake of his daughter, he even didn't dare to compete with Lu, an great elder princess, for the position of heir of Marquis. He was afraid that an great elder princess would be angry. At that time, she would even interfere in this kind of thing and ruin his plan. What he wanted was the future, not the current position of heir of Marquis Xing. Even if the position of heir of Marquis Xing temporarily fell on his nephew, so what? At that time, the position of heir of Marquis Xing belonged to his elder brother. Later, it would be him who inherited the position. As long as he was careful, nothing was impossible. "You already have a co-wife. Now Madame Jiang is your co-wife." Old Madam reminded him. There was only one main wife and one co-wife at most. However, Xiao Jing's current situation was special. He didn't have a main wife, but he had a co-wife. If he married another co-wife, the etiquette would not allow it. After saying that, Old Madam suddenly thought of something and said anxiously, "You don't want Madame Jiang to regain the position of the legal wife. That won't do. The Empress Dowager's intention has been irrevocable. Madame Jiang would definitely lose the position of the legal wife. It's all Madame Jiang's fault that things have become like this. If she hadn't done this kind of thing at that time, things wouldn't have become like this now. Since she also harmed Ruer, she should bear the consequences." Xiao Jing said coldly, with a dark light flashing in his eyes. "You don't want Madame Jiang?" Old Madam's lips trembled. Even if she didn't like Madame Jiang now, she didn't want to kill Madame Jiang. "Mother, apart from this, Is there any other way to save Rua? Madame Jiang is already like this now. She even caused me and my son to fall into poverty with her. It's better to fight for my daughter. It can also be regarded as her motherly intention, Xiao Jing said. Old Madame's heart suddenly beat wildly. If these words were said by Madame Jiang, it would definitely make people feel that she was motherly. But these words were said by Xiao Jing, which gave people an indescribable feeling of malice. Mother, do you want to keep Madame Jiang or Ru? Seeing that the time was ripe, Xiao Jing said again. Xiao Yenru and Madame Jiang. Needless to say, old Madame liked Xiao Yenru. Not to mention that Xiao Yenru was her biological granddaughter, she couldn't really give up Xiao Yenru because of her infinite possibilities after coming out. Xiao Yenru was the granddaughter she held in the palm of her hand with infinite hope. Other granddaughters could be sacrificed for her. In this case, it seemed that Madame Jiang could also be sacrificed. Moreover, Madame Jiang was Xiao Yenru's daughter. For the sake of her daughter, there was nothing that Madame Jiang couldn't bear to sacrifice her life. Thinking of this, old Madame nodded slowly. She thought that Madame Jiang would definitely think so. How to arrange this matter? Have you already made up your mind? Since old Madame had made up her mind, she continued to ask. Let's take Ru out first and raise her in our mansion as an illegitimate daughter. Since they are biological sisters, it's normal for them to have some similarities. Her preferences are different from Ru's preferences in the past, and she dresses differently. Moreover, she doesn't meet outsiders, so no one will say anything. After a period of time, send her to Prince Cheng's mansion. Xiao Jing had naturally planned it long ago. He was not surprised that old Madame would agree to this matter, so he immediately told her everything. Are you really going to let that servant girl marry into the mansion? Old Madame was still a little embarrassed. Xiao Jing was a marquis. She was really unwilling to let a servant girl marry into the mansion as a co-wife. Mother, if we don't do this, Ru can't come back and be raised in the mansion legitimately. Xiao Jing whispered. He knew what old Madame was worried about. In fact, he was also unwilling to do this, but he had no choice. This was the best way. How to deal with Madame Jiang? Old Madame thought for a while and said slowly in the end without saying anything. Madame Jiang couldn't have an accident for no reason, especially when she had just returned to the mansion. At this time, it was easy for people to speculate. Xiao Jing nodded. Madame Jiang indeed couldn't have an accident for no reason. He also had to avoid arousing suspicion. He had raised a mistress and wanted to bring her into the mansion. At this moment, Madame Jiang had no legitimate reason to have an accident, which would make people suspect him. He looked up at old Madame and suddenly asked, Mother, what happened to you before? Why is your mouth a little crooked? My mouth was crooked? Old Madame was stunned. Xiao Jing stood up, walked to the dressing table, picked up a small bronze mirror, turned back and handed it to old Madame. Old Madame took it and looked at it. She was furious. Her mouth was indeed crooked, and the crooked was very obvious. Xiao Wenru, this bitch, is really an ungrateful person. Now she has made me so angry with her because of Prince Chen. Just now, Nanny Yu had implicitly told old Madame that she had a small stroke just now. Now she was fine and she just needed to take a good rest. She didn't expect that this small stroke would make her mouth crooked. She was very angry. Mother, what do you think of letting Madame Jiang die in the hands of Princess Chen? Xiao Jing had an idea and suddenly smiled. What do you mean? Old Madame raised her head and asked anxiously without any hesitation, blame Madame Jiang's death on that girl? Can this work? Mother, why not? No matter how difficult it is, it can be done as long as the plan is appropriate. Xiao Jing said disapprovingly. He reached out to lift his robe and sat down again. If it weren't for his good plan, he wouldn't have become Marquis Xing now. What are you going to do? Old Madame leaned over and asked in a low voice. Xiao Jing thought for a moment, lowered his head and whispered in old Madame's ear. One of them spoke, and the other nodded repeatedly. When Xiao Jing came out, Zhao Xiran hurried over from the wing room. After looking at his daughter-in-law, Xiao Jing told her to serve old Madame well and then turned to leave. Nanny Yu and Zhao Xiran entered the room together. Counting the time, The mother and the son had been talking in the room for 2 hours. Old Madam was tired and had no energy to lean on Xiao Jing. With the help of 2 people, she lay down to rest and fell asleep after a while. Looking at Old Madam's crooked mouth, Zhao Xiran looked calm. "First Grandma." Nanny Yu covered Old Madam with the quilt and said softly. Zhao Xiran nodded and followed Nanny Yu to the door. "First Grandma, Old Madam has to trouble you in this situation," Nanny Yu said with a wry smile. Now the mansion needed the first grandma in front of her. "Nanny Yu, what are you talking about? It's my duty to take care of my grandmother," Zhao Xiran said softly with a gentle and non-aggressive smile. Looking at the gentle Zhao Xiran in front of her, Nanny Yu's eyes turned red. Once upon a time, First Miss Xiao also served Old Madam in such a gentle manner. Wiping away her tears, Nanny Yu turned her head and said with a forced smile, "Marquis just told me that Old Madam agreed to Marquis's marriage and asked First Grandma to prepare for it first. When the new Madam marries, it should be well prepared and a new garden needs to be tidied up. The new Miss will marry into the mansion." The so-called new Miss was, of course, the illegitimate daughter. Zhao Xiran was stunned and her eyes suddenly widened. She didn't expect that Old Madam would immediately agree to Xiao Jing's marriage. She immediately felt angry. She suppressed her anger and said stiffly, "What kind of garden do you need?" She would go to Xiaohua and later and ask him what he meant. Didn't he say that Old Madam would definitely help her when she came back? Such a lowly mistress actually wanted to become the second wife, suppressing her, the dignified daughter of the minister, and becoming her mother-in-law. Zhao Xiran really couldn't take this lying down. She couldn't do anything about Madame Jiang. After all, she was Xiaohua, Anne's biological mother. Now such a dirty woman also wanted to step on her. What did she mean? How could she go out in the future? Chapter 1143. A complete copy update the latest chapter on the Crown Princess's medical skills as soon as possible. The gauze curtain at the window fell, which was very thin and translucent. A layer of light gauze fell on the bed near the window. Xiao Wenru was lying with her eyes closed, and her hand was hanging on the pulse pillow outside the bed. After feeling her pulse, Qi slowly put down her hand, glanced at Chu Luchin in front of the bed, and walked out of the door. Yu Jie hurriedly stepped forward to put down Xiao Wenru's hand. Chu Luchin walked to the door and stood still. "How is it?" "Don't worry, Your Highness. It's nothing serious," Qi said. "Since it's nothing serious, why did you suddenly vomit like this?" Chu Luchin said coldly. Maybe Princess heard or saw something that she couldn't accept, so she had such a big reaction because she couldn't bear it for a while. She will be fine after a period of recuperation. Qi thought for a while and reminded Chu Luchin implicitly that it seemed to be a psychological problem. Qi also found this matter very strange. Qi had seen Princess Chen for more than 1 or 2 days. Qi admired this young but determined Princess Chen very much. Young people were wise, and every step she took was very steady. Even though there were so many ups and downs during this period, such a young girl could do so. She was really a good match for Prince Chen. There was no one more suitable for Prince Chen than Princess Chen. Qi was a little curious about what could make Princess Chen, who was so determined, unable to bear it. He coughed in a low voice and pretended to say, "Your Highness, if you tell me what happened to the princess in Prince Chen's mansion, I can still analyze it." How could Chu Luchin not understand Qi's intention to watch the fun? He said with a gloomy face, "It's better for you to stay and listen. It happens that Xiao Xuanzi told me that he is short of people and can't handle it alone." Who was Xiao Xuanzi? Qi was stunned. He picked up the medicine box and said with a serious face, "Your Highness, I suddenly remember that there are still some things about medicine that I can't figure out. There is something wrong with Dr. Chio's medical skills. I have to discuss it with Mingqiu," Qi said. Without waiting for Chu Luchin to say anything, he ran away quickly. He didn't want to be a eunuch. Their Qi family didn't have a descendant yet. He had to leave a root for the old Qi family. "Your Highness, Marquis Xing asks to see the princess." A guard came in and reported to Chu Luchin. "Take him to the parlor on the side," Chu Luchin said slowly with a trace of malice flashing in his eyes. The guard answered and went outside to invite Xiao Jing to a flower hall. Xiao Jing frowned and looked around. This was the first time he had come to Prince Chen's mansion, but he could tell that this should be the outer courtyard. He felt inexplicably uneasy. And looked. After Xiao Jing's Shaoling King. Chen was of a prince, Xiao prince is he, as possible, the prince was long as prince was. The door of a Chu. The door heavily. The door. Xing Chu of Chu. Ling Xing fell he, greetings, your highness. Xiao Jing hurriedly stood up and saluted. Your highness. Xiao Jing stood up and saluted. After the guests and the host were seated, the servants poured tea again. Chu Liuchen's eyes fell on Xiao Jing and he asked gently, what brings you here this time, Marquis Xing? As for the possibility of meeting Chu Liuchen, Xiao Jing had already guessed it just now. He smiled and asked with concern, I heard that Princess Chen suddenly felt unwell when I returned to the mansion. I was worried about her, so I came to ask what happened. How is she now? Thank you for your concern, Marquis Xing. She is fine. Chu Liuchen said with his beautiful eyes slightly narrowed. It wasn't easy to continue, so Xiao Jing didn't say anything else. Xiao Jing coughed uncomfortably. Mother is old, and her mental state isn't very good. Accidents happen in the mansion one after another, and she can't cope with them. The doctor just checked on her and said, she had a stroke just now. Old madam had a stroke? Why don't I ask some imperial physicians to go to Marquis Xing's mansion for a consultation? Chu Liuchen said lightly, rudely interrupting Xiao Jing's statement. Thank you for your kindness, Prince Jin. I don't need it now. She has been treated with acupuncture. She just needs to rest well. Xiao Jing shook his head uneasily. Since she is fine, what does Marquis Xing mean by coming here? Chu Liuchen said with a trace of coldness in his eyes, but he looked calmer. Xiao Jing's heart skipped a beat. He felt flustered for no reason. On the one hand, he came to see Xiao Wanru and to tell her what had happened in the mansion. It was not that someone in the mansion had done something to Xiao Wanru, but that Xiao Wanru had made old madam so angry that she almost had a stroke. On the other hand, of course, he wanted Prince Qin to warn Xiao Wanru. No matter what old madam had done, she was Xiao Wanru's biological grandmother. Xiao Wanru almost had a stroke in anger. If this matter was spread out, Xiao Wanru, as Princess Qin, would definitely be criticized, and even Chu Liuchen's reputation would be affected. From this point of view, it could be said that he had something on Prince Chen's mansion. I'm afraid that Princess Chen will be involved in the memorial because of this matter. Xiao Jing gritted his teeth, looked up at Chu Liuchen, and said with a serious face, no matter what mother has done, she is still the elder of Princess Chen. How can she make her biological grandmother so angry just because she is in a bad mood? When the imperial physician treated her, he said that if it was a little later, something serious would happen. Since it had come to this, Xiao Jing felt that he should be tough at this time. Even if Prince Qin had the chance to ascend to the throne of the crown prince, in Xiao Jing's opinion, it was just an illusion. How could anyone pass the throne to his nephew instead of his own son? Everything was just a show for others to see. Who could take it for real? Anyway, he didn't believe it, and he would never be optimistic about Prince Chen's mansion. Moreover, as long as Chu Liuchen was ambitious, he should not offend Marquis Xing's mansion. What was the use of a princess without the help of her maiden family? So what if Chu Liuchen cared about Xiao Wanru? Could he really give up Marquis Xing's mansion for her? For this reason, Xiao Jing felt that he should not panic. If Marquis Xing finds a witness, he can go to the emperor to complain. Chu Liuchen smiled slightly, picked up the teacup, and took a sip slowly. Then he raised his beautiful eyes, and his face suddenly became gloomy, with a bloodthirsty dark light in his eyes. The substantial bloodthirsty light made Xiao Jing panic. He opened his mouth and almost bit his tongue. Marquis Xing can enter the imperial palace through my mansion. He can complain to the emperor or the empress dowager. As for the imperial physician, I don't know if he is willing to testify for Marquis Xing. Chu Liuchen looked at Xiao Jing, and his words were more like a sharp sword, with a gloomy and cold expression on his face. Your Highness, what do you mean? It took Xiao Jing a long time to find his voice. What is Marquis Xing? Meaning, what is this king's meaning? If Marquis Xing is afraid that things will not go well, I can lend a few people to Marquis Xing. After all, Marquis Xing's mansion should also be lively. Chu Liuchen's eyes swept over Xiao Jing, as if there was a poisonous snake's tongue sliding across his face, making his hair stand on end. Your Highness, I just advised Princess Qin not to be naughty with my mother. My mother is old and a little confused. Xiao Jing was defeated and said with a hollow laugh. Would the imperial physician testify for him? Of course not. As for the words of other people in the mansion, it was the easiest to refute. Moreover, although Xiao Jing felt that it was impossible for Chu Luchen to testify, he did not dare to contradict him. Even if Chu Luchen was not good, no one dared to look down on him for so many years, and even several princes did not dare to provoke him. Prince Cheng had repeatedly told him not to really provoke Chu Luchen. When he entered the door just now, he looked like he was going to interrogate him, but now he immediately became confused. Xiao Jing was really flexible. The gloominess on Chu Liuchen's face disappeared, and he looked at Xiao Jing with a faint smile and raised his eyebrows. If there is nothing else, Marquis Xing, you can go back. My princess is not feeling well, and I am in a bad mood. This was a direct order for him to leave. Xiao Jing had to stand up and said, Since Princess Qin is fine, I have to take care of my mother, so I will leave first. Marquis Xing, please. Chu Luchen said lazily and waved his hand. This kind of contemptuous attitude made Xiao Jing feel very aggrieved, but he had to bear it. At present, he still needed to make use of Xiao Wanru, so he could not become enemies with Xiao Wanru at this time. Moreover, Chu Liuchen's momentum was amazing. After saying goodbye to Chu Luchen politely with a hollow laugh, he left Prince Chen's mansion. The carriage did not go directly to Marquis Xing's mansion, but to the current residence of Yinyang, a house not very far away from Marquis Xing's mansion. After entering the house, he picked up the tea that Yinyang had just served and drank a few mouthfuls. Only then did he feel relieved. Everything was not going well, and he was in a bad mood. Marquis, what happened? Yinyang said softly and poured more tea for Xiao Jing. Xiao Jing took it and drank a few mouthfuls. Then he put it down heavily and asked straightforwardly, When will you go to see Princess Qin again? Even if I go to see her, I can't see Princess Qin. I don't know why she is not interested. Yinyang also frowned. She had thought that there was a 90% chance of success, but now there was no result, which really made her feel uneasy. Marquis, what do you think of asking Ru and Great Elder Princess for help? Since Princess Qin could not do it, Ru and Great Elder Princess was also a very good choice. No, Ru and Great Elder Princess must have received the message from Princess Qin. If Princess Qin suspects you, she will definitely suspect you. Xiao Jing directly rejected Yinyang's decision. But even if Ru and Great Elder Princess suspects me, she will still be interested in meeting me, right? Or I can meet the little heir because of this. Yinyang said meaningfully. Thinking that she was about to become the official madam of Marquis Xing, she was very excited. She wanted to eliminate any obstacles at present and wholeheartedly wanted to ascend to such a position. She was just a little servant girl at that time. Whether it was Infanta Qinghua or the Jiang family, they were all superior. She didn't expect that one day, she would be the final winner. How could she not be excited? Chapter 1144. Remember in 1 second, 800 $say net. Do you want to see Xiao Yuanhao? You want to see Xiao Yuanhao? Xiao Jing rolled his eyes and thought it was a good idea. And Great Elder Princess and Xiao Wanru were not so gullible, but what about Xiao Yunhao, who had been well protected? Compared with them, he was the easiest one to crack. Xiao Jing nodded and said after thinking for a while, You're right. We should go to Br and Great Elder Princess's mansion to have a try, especially at this time when Princess Chen is not in good health. I heard that she is sick in the mansion and has no time to care about other things. Since he went to Br and Great Elder Princess's mansion, Xiao Yuanhao had been a part of Marquis Xing's mansion. Usually, he would be accompanied by Ru and Great Elder Princess's trusted subordinates during the Spring Festival and would leave after a short visit. Xiao Jing didn't know his nephew well at the moment. He only remembered that he had been raised to be arrogant when he was young. It had only been 3 years. Even if he wanted to change, he should not have changed much. He was still arrogant in his bones. Such a character was the easiest to be cheated. Moreover, he was just a child. Marquis, go back to the mansion first. I will go to and great elder princess's mansion later, Nyang said happily. The sooner the matter was solved, the closer she would be to the position of the official madam of the Marquis's mansion. This was something she never dared to think about before, or it was not that she didn't dare to think about it, but that she dared to think about it but did not dare to say it. Her long-cherished wish for many years was about to come true. No matter how calm she used to be, she couldn't help feeling a little dizzy at this time. She was a concubine, and not only a concubine, but also a chess piece in Xiao Jing's hands. But she was willing to be this chess piece. Otherwise, she would always be a servant girl and a servant. Now she had a chance to compete for the throne that she had been looking forward to for many years. Marquis would even ask the Jiang family to make way for her. For this reason, Yang felt that everything she had done for Xiao Jing over the years was worth it. She could endure, just for the final victory. Whether it was Commandery Princess Qinghua or the Jiang family, she was the woman who had the last laugh. Those noble women fell in front of her one by one, while she, a lowly woman, finally rose to the top. Just for this point, Yang was full of fighting spirit at the moment. You don't have to be too anxious, lest you arouse the suspicion of and Great Elder Princess. When you arrive at Great Elder Princess's mansion, you have to be careful not to give yourself away. Xiao Jing glanced at Anyang coldly with cold eyes. Compared with the confident Anyang, Xiao Jing thought more. At the moment the mansion was in a mess. He had planned to let Madame of Jiang die in Xiao Wanru's hands, but he failed to see Xiao Wanru. His heart was in a mess. Seeing the joy on Anyang's face, he only felt annoyed. Inexplicably, another thought came into his mind. In fact, it was not necessary for Jiang Shi to die. If Anyang died, it could also solve the current predicament. However, there was also a problem with doing so. Rubbing his forehead, Zhang Xian felt as if his head was swelling, and he didn't look too good. Marquis, are you not feeling well? Let me help you rub it. Receiving Xiao Jing's cold gaze, Anyang finally realized that she had gone too far. She panicked. She knew how ruthless Xiao Jing was. He could sacrifice anything for his power. Her expression immediately changed, and she said tenderly, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. Standing behind Xiao Jing, she stretched out her hands and gently pressed both sides of his forehead. Xiao Jing closed his eyes and felt the technique that Anyang made him satisfied. Anyang's technique was very familiar. From time to time, she pressed on Xiao Jing's forehead to make him feel comfortable. The look on Xiao Jing's face softened and he moaned softly, and his breathing gradually became stable. Anyang pinched his forehead for a long time. When her hands were sore, she gently put them down. Seeing that Xiao Jing had fallen asleep, she tiptoed back to the inner room, took out a blanket, and carefully covered Xiao Jing's body. Her movements were very light, but Xiao Jing still felt it. He suddenly opened his eyes and his cold eyes fell on Anyang, as if there was a murderous intent in them. Anyang didn't dare to move and called out timidly. Xiao Jing finally remembered where he was. He looked up at the window and saw the sun shining in through the window. He had fallen asleep just now. He hadn't slept well these days. Things had happened one after another, which made him mentally and physically exhausted. I'll go back to the mansion first. Be careful and don't mess things up. Xiao Jing stood up and rubbed his head again. Anyang's technique was really comfortable. It made him feel more comfortable than other women. One of the main reasons was that Anyang's wrist strength was great, which was a level that other women could reach. Yes, Marca, I know. Anyang said softly and respectfully. Xiao Jing was satisfied with Anyang like this. He didn't like Madame Jiang. The arrogant Madame Jiang had long regarded herself as his sister-in-law, but she had an ambiguous relationship with him. After marrying him, she looked at his elder brother with affection and affection. If it weren't for old Madame's forceful suppression and Madame Jiang gave birth to a pair of outstanding children, Xiao Jing would have long been unable to bear Madame Jiang. Xiao Wanru blinked and slowly opened her watery eyes. In front of her was a handsome and gentle face. Seeing her open her eyes, he smiled slightly and said, "You're awake." He reached out and half lifted her up. Xiao Wanru then saw clearly that Chu Luchen was sitting beside her bed. There was a table beside the bed with some booklets on it. It seemed that every time she needed him, Chu Luchen was always there. "I'm fine." With a smile on her face, she leaned into Chu Luchen's arms gently and said, "Old madam was so angry with me that she had a stroke. I don't know if she's okay." She really didn't have the heart to care about old madam at that time. "She's fine for a long time. The Imperial physician happens to be in the mansion." Chu Luchen comforted her and reached out to touch her head. He said indifferently, "It doesn't matter even if something happens to her. She came out this time because you pleaded for her. If something happens to her in Marquis Xing's mansion, it must not be because of you, the granddaughter who pleaded for her. If Marquis Xing's mansion testifies against you, people will only say that they are unkind." He didn't say that she had lost her composure, nor did he care about the consequences of her anger. He just stated a fact to reassure her. Xiao Wanru's long eyelashes fluttered twice, and her nose was very sour, but she didn't cry. At that time, she hurried back to the mansion because she wanted to see Chu Luchen, just like a child who had been wronged outside and specially returned to the mansion to complain to her parents. But when she saw Chu Luchen, she fainted without saying a word. Now she wanted to say it again, but she felt it was meaningless. What happened in Marquis Xing's mansion was not a good thing. She had already guessed various possibilities, but now because of the third madam's words, she was so disgusted that she wanted to vomit. Was her psychological quality poor, or did she subconsciously return to the mansion to find someone to rely on because she had found someone to rely on? Seeing Xiao Wanru quietly snuggling up to him, Chu Luchen reached out to hold her in his arms. Without asking her anything, he gently stroked her hair and said softly, "Do you need me to do anything? Do you need me to do anything?" "Not for the time being." Xiao Wanru shook her head peacefully. Her long eyelashes fell down like tired butterfly wings, leaving uneven shadows on her white and tender face. This sleep made her heart calm down. She had thought about all kinds of possibilities about the death of her father and mother, hadn't she? "When do you need me?" Chu Luchen didn't ask too much and just said softly. Xiao Wanru put her arms around the back of Chu Luchen's waist and said, "My mother seems to have died in an unknown way. She didn't die of depression as people said. Today, the third madam said that she wanted to separate from the Marquis's mansion, and what happened in those years will happen again." Her words were a little messy, just like her current mood. Chu Luchen lowered his head to look at her face. Seeing her pale face, he felt a pain in his heart. He exerted force in his arms and almost pressed her into his arms. He gently rubbed her ear with the corner of his lips, and his eyes were dark as if a violent storm was brewing. He said, "We can directly get rid of Marquis Xing's mansion. If he directly got rid of them, there wouldn't be so much trouble." Chu Luchen was more willing to protect the woman in his arms in this way, but he also knew that there were some things that Xiao Wanru didn't want him to intervene in, so he could only protect her in his own way. Just like what happened to him, it was the darkest thing in his heart. Although he knew that Xiao Wanru probably knew it in her heart, he didn't want to say more. The thing about Marquis Xing's mansion was also the thing that she was most unwilling to mention in her heart. In fact, they were the same kind of people. They were more willing to solve this kind of thing in their own way, and he only needed to be her backer and help her. From the first time they met, he knew that the girl in front of him looked weak, but she was tough. He gently kissed her snow-white earlobe. Looking at the tender and white earlobe blushing, he couldn't help showing a smile. The person in his arms was the person he longed for the most and the only woman he wanted to protect. Feeling Chu Luchen's warm breath in her ear, Xiao Wanru's face and ears turned red. Her gloomy mood was less gloomy and became lively again in his intimate breath. Now she was not alone. She still had him. His behavior of protecting her regardless of anything made her feel sweet in her heart. There was a surge of warmth in her heart, which swallowed the gloominess in her heart. "Xiao Jing came just now and said that he wanted to see you and go to the palace to complain. I asked him to go now. He can enter the palace directly through the side door of Prince Chen's mansion." Chu Liuchen's voice was soft and lazy. Xiao Wanru smiled. She could imagine that Xiao Jing was angry and hateful, but he couldn't get angry. Xiao Jing wanted to threaten Chu Liuchen with the fact that she made old madam so angry that she had a stroke. Since she dared to be angry at that time, she believed that the imperial physician didn't dare to say anything, and Chu Liuchen would stand by her side without saying anything. The look in her eyes changed slightly, and there was a hint of softness in her smile. Her heart was full of sweetness. He must be mad. I can see that he is very angry, but he is not mad. After that, he went to find his mistress, who seems to be much more valued than the Jiang family. Chu Liuchen's eyes flickered and he answered. Xiao Jing did think highly of this woman called Anyang. It seemed that he valued her more like a subordinate than a mistress. Xiao Wanru's heart suddenly skipped a beat. She suddenly widened her watery eyes and raised her head to look at Chu Liuchen in astonishment. Is it what I think? It should be what you think. Chu Liuchen said, and when he lowered his head, the light and shadow dimmed. Chapter 1145. According to the news from Marquis Xing's mansion, old madam fell ill as soon as she returned to the mansion, and Princess Chen also fell ill after picking her up. People felt that Marquis Xing's mansion had declined more and more. Those who had intended to marry Marquis Xing's mansion for the sake of Princess Chen hesitated again. The third branch of Marquis Xing's mansion was not close to the two children of the first branch. Princess Chen didn't stay in Marquis Xing's mansion for a few days. As for the little heir of Marquis Xing's mansion, he was raised in Ri and great elder princess's mansion, so his relationship with these cousins in the mansion should be as indifferent as water. For a moment, people who had some ideas held back and waited to see the change of the situation. However, many people turned their attention to Commandery Prince Qing's mansion, which suddenly got into trouble recently. Commandery Prince Qing had been engaged before, and it was said that he had been engaged for a long time. The bride's background was not obvious, but Commandery Prince Qing did not want to abandon her. Even in the selection of concubines in the palace, he did not choose any of those noble concubines and said that he already had a legal wife. For this reason, people had a good impression of him and thought that Commandery Prince Qing was not an ungrateful person. After the Princess of Su state came to the capital city, people suddenly knew that Princess Su was going to marry Commandery Prince Qing. What about the fiancé that Commandery Prince Qing had been engaged to before? Many people felt that the rumor was not credible, but some people thought that since it was said, it must be true. Besides, this wasn't just a marriage, it was related to national affairs, so there were even more people who were concerned about it. Many people who still didn't understand the situation were staring at the residence where the two princesses of the Su kingdom were temporarily staying. Some people went to Qin Huaiyong to inquire about the news. Compared with Prince Chen and Commandery Prince Qing, Qin Huaiyong was the best place to inquire about the news. However, after they went there, they all shook their heads. Qin Huaiyong was also very tight-lipped and only said that he would obey the emperor's orders. Now, although people were talking about it, there was no official decree. Did this mean that everything was possible? Xiao Wanru did not expect that the Princess of Su state would come to her before the matter of Marquis Xing's mansion was solved. They were the two princesses of Su state, Princess Yutao and Princess Yuyin. Hearing that the two princesses came, Xiao Wanru thought for a while and asked someone to invite them in. After they were invited inside, she was a little surprised to find that not only the two princesses of Su state were here. This is Princess Jin. Infantiyun walked in the front and led the way for the two princesses. When she saw Xiao Wanru, she first stepped forward to bow to her, and then stepped back to the side. She pointed at Xiao Wanru and introduced her to the two princesses. Greetings, Princess Jin. Princess Yutao looked Xiao Wanru up and down with a bit of pickiness in her eyes. Although she couldn't marry Chu Liuchen, she felt that she was just destined to marry Chu Liuchen. If they were destined to be together, Chu Liuchen would definitely want to marry her. She had always been very proud of her appearance. However, when he saw Xiao Wanru at the moment, he couldn't help but feel suffocated. The woman in front of him, no, it should be more accurate to say that she was a young girl. Although she was dressed as a married woman, she still looked a little childish. Her delicate and beautiful facial features were not sharp, but she had the elegance and charm of a little girl. As her watery eyes moved, her skin was as white as snow, and her lips were delicate and charming. Just one glance at her made people stunned, and they almost suspected that such a woman was like a fairy falling from the ninth heaven. Princess Yutao had studied sinology and also memorized many poems describing the beauty of women in books. She originally thought that the names of those poems were too exaggerated. However, the Princess Chin in front of her made her feel that these poems were a little too simple. They could only describe a little bit, but the real beauty couldn't be described clearly. Isn't it said that the first beauty is Xiao Baolin in the palace? Is she more beautiful than Princess Chin? Princess Yutao said in surprise after reading. As soon as she entered the capital city, she sent someone to inquire about the things in the capital city. It was said that the most outstanding woman in the capital city was the first miss of Marquis Xing's mansion, and now Xiao Yenru, who had become Baolin's wife. It was precisely because of this saying that Princess Yutao was still full of confidence in Princess Chin. Xiao Baolin must be more beautiful, but Princess Chin is also extremely beautiful. Princess Yuyen reacted quickly. After greeting with a smile, she said. A trace of jealousy flashed in her eyes. That day, she tried every means to seduce Chu Luchin, but Chu Luchin had been unmoved. In fact, she also wanted to come here to see Princess Chin. How could a woman who was not as beautiful as her sit firmly in the position of Princess Chin? At this moment, there was nothing but jealousy. Why could this woman be so beautiful and marry such an excellent husband as Prince Chin? It was said that the emperor also affirmed Prince Chen's status, while Chu Qing was nothing. Thinking of this, she became more and more aggrieved. She didn't want to marry Chu Qing at all. As long as it was not Chu Qing, she could actually be Prince Chen's concubine. Didn't her mother marry into the family as a concubine, and now even the empress had to retreat? It didn't matter whether she was the legal wife or a concubine when she married into the family. Princess Yuyen thought that it would depend on her charm in the future. So what if she was so beautiful? The empress of the Su kingdom was also beautiful, but in the end, she was still surpassed by her mother. It was not enough to be beautiful, but also to be sensible. Moreover, she had the Su kingdom behind her. These were the few advantages. If she married into Prince Chen's mansion, Prince Chen's mansion would be hers. Thinking of this, Princess Yuyen's face softened and she smiled kindly. After they greeted each other, they sat down according to the host and the guest. Princess Chin, it's a little offensive to come here without permission, but only Prince Chin is getting married, so I come to visit Princess Chin first. Please forgive me for my presumptuousness. Princess Yutao put down the teacup in her hand and said with a smile. Although she was a little unwilling, it was impossible for her and Chu Luchin to be together, so she just laughed it off. She was the future empress of the Su kingdom, and she could only marry a noble young master of the Su kingdom. She and Prince Chen were not destined to be together, so she could only regard it as a beautiful encounter. Thinking about this, she could stabilize her position. Deep in her heart, she had to admit that Chu Luchin didn't like her at all. In fact, if he liked her, she might have another idea. But now, all she wanted was the throne of the Su kingdom, so it was best to cooperate with Chu Luchin. The two princesses heard that I have a good relationship with Princess Chen, so they specially asked someone to invite me here. Infanta Yuan, and also explained with a smile. Had a good relationship with Infanta Yuan? Xiao Wanru frowned. It should be Zhang Qilan. Actually, we also invited Prime Minister Zhang's daughter, but I heard that Miss Zhang is sick. Princess Yutao explained with a smile. Zhang Qilan was the future Princess Yu, and Infanta Yuan, and was the future Princess Zhou. Both of them would be on an equal footing with Zhang Qilan in the near future. Even because Prince Yu and Prince Zhou were better than each other, Zhang Qilan, if they saw him, they would still be suppressed. The two of them were indeed suitable candidates. Princess Yuan, and is a very good person. She sent someone to invite her, and she came immediately. Princess Yuyen said, obviously dissatisfied with Zhang Qilan. The two princesses of the Su kingdom arrived in the capital. The situation was not clear at the moment, so how could Prime Minister Zhang let his daughter get involved? As for Commandery Princess Yuan and Zhang Qilan, Their situations were different. Princess Qin, has Miss Zhang been ill recently? Princess Yuan, and asked with a smile. I'm not in good health recently, so I'm not sure. Xiao Wanru shook her head. Didn't Miss Zhang come to see you? I heard that Miss Zhang and Princess Chen were close friends when they were in the boudoir. Infanta Yuan, and became curious, as if she didn't know that her words were meant to sow discord. She was not feeling well, but I didn't know. Xiao Wanru smiled faintly. I was rude. Princess Chen, in a few days, we want to invite some distinguished guests from the capital to our mansion. Can you help us to provide some lists? Princess Yu Tao said impatiently. She disliked this kind of words between women the most. Couldn't they be more straightforward? Why don't you ask Ruaping Great Elder Princess for this matter? Xiao Wanru looked at Infanta Yuan and suggested. I want to invite some young people. They are of the same age and can get familiar with each other. Princess Yu Yan explained, although Ruaping Great Elder Princess knows a little about young ladies, she is not as young as Princess Chen, so she is more knowledgeable. She wanted Prince Chen's mansion to take the lead. Xiao Wanru keenly sensed this, but she still smiled gently and refused lightly, I'm afraid I really can't help you. I have only been in the capital for 3 years, and I have spent most of the time in the Yuhui nunnery. I have little contact with the misses of aristocratic families in the capital, unlike Infanta Yuan An, who is a talented and beautiful noble lady in the capital. Moreover, I am not in good health now. The 2 princesses of the Su kingdom had just arrived in the capital, and many people were watching. Xiao Wanru didn't want to intervene at this time. The matter of Marquis Xing's mansion was what she wanted to solve most now. There might be other mysteries about the matter of the princess of the Su kingdom. Moreover, she was not in good health. She had just recovered from her injury, but now she fell ill again. Infanta Yuan looked at Xiao Wanru's face and found that she did not look well. She showed some concern on her face and said, Why did you suddenly fall ill again? I heard that you went to Marquis Xing's mansion to pick up old madam. What happened? Infanta Yuan and didn't find out what exactly happened in Marquis Xing's mansion that day, but she vaguely heard that old madam had something to do with Xiao Wanru's illness. It's not a big deal, but you need to take good care of yourself and don't worry too much. Xiao Wanru said softly, and then turned her head to cover her mouth with a handkerchief and coughed a few times. Princess Yu Yan suddenly felt that although Princess Qin in front of her was as beautiful as a painting, she looked like a short-lived person. She couldn't help but despise her in her heart. In fact, she didn't need Xiao Wanru, but she just wanted to see Princess Qin out of curiosity. Chu Luchen repeatedly refused her for the sake of such a weak and useless girl in front of her. But the next moment, the smile on her face froze. She heard Princess Yu Tao ask, Princess Qin, can you please ask Commandery Prince Qing to come here? Since he came here, Commandery Prince Qing has not come here even once. Chapter 1146. Although it was not officially announced, well-informed people still knew that Princess Yu Yan was going to marry Chu Qing. The princess of the Su kingdom had been in the capital city for a few days, but Chu Qing had not visited her for a day, which was a little unreasonable. Even our prince can't interfere in this kind of thing. Princess Yu Yan, do you know that Commandery Prince Qing has a fiancé? Xiao Wanru calmly changed the topic. Princess Yu Yan's face darkened. It was one thing for her to be unwilling to marry Chu Qing, but it was another thing for Chu Qing to be unwilling to marry her. It was like giving her a hard slap in the face, and it was a man she despised. However, she was quite scheming. She gritted her teeth, swallowed her anger, and said with a smile, Ningyan Army General said the same thing before. He also said that this is a matter between the 2 countries, and there should be a proper way to settle her down. In the face of national interests, this kind of thing was too trivial. When her mother sent her here, she repeatedly told her about it and told her that no matter whether she really married Chu Qing or not, she should not fall out with that woman. There was a force behind that woman, and if she used it properly, it would be good for everyone. Princess Yu Yan heard Consort Li's words and took it a little seriously, but she didn't care about it. What was her identity and that woman's identity? How could they compete with her? As for Qin Huaiyong's identity, Princess Yu Yan had also inquired about it. Princess Qin in front of her had been raised by Ningyuan army general. She could only say that it was a coincidence, and she felt that it was a good coincidence. Xiao Wanru's face darkened, and she understood what Princess Yuyan meant. Although Qin Huaiyong had nothing to do with her now, he had raised her for so many years after all. Ningyuan army general said that it's better to ask Princess Qin to help us invite Commandery Prince Qing. If you can invite Commandery Prince Qing's former fiancé, that would be the best. Seeing Xiao Wanru remain silent, Princess Yuyan said with a smile and changed the topic. It was not that she had to ask Xiao Wanru to do it. She just didn't like Xiao Wanru's delicate little face. If Xiao Wanru was unwilling to do it, she insisted on letting her do it. The relationship between Ningyuan army general and Princess Chen was unusual. Since Princess has said so, I will let His Highness convey Princess's words. Xiao Wanru didn't want to intervene in this matter, but it didn't mean that she was afraid of trouble. Princess Yuyan forced her again and again. With a cold look in her eyes, she put down the teacup in her hand heavily and said coldly, "How about tomorrow?" The smile on Princess Yuyan's face froze. She had thought that Xiao Wanru would definitely make excuses after being embarrassed. Unexpectedly, Xiao Wanru not only agreed but also made the date so urgent. Princess Yu Tao curled her lips and looked at her younger sister mockingly. Although she was not good at fighting among the women in the inner courtyard, she knew that her younger sister was stupid. What good would it do her to offend Princess Qin? No matter who Yu Yen wanted to marry, she would have to live here in the future. He didn't say anything and continued to watch the show. She was not the only one who was watching the show. Infantiyun and also raised her lips vaguely. She was mocking Xiao Wanru. It would be great if Xiao Wanru and Princess Yuyan fought against each other. Along the way, she mentioned Xiao Wanru from time to time, which made Princess Yuyan dislike Xiao Wanru very much. It was inevitable that Princess Yuyan would provoke Xiao Wanru. What surprised her was Xiao Wanru's attitude. She didn't expect that Xiao Wanru would confront Princess Yuyan head-on. But it had nothing to do with her. She just wanted to watch the show. Will Commandery Prince Qing definitely come tomorrow? Princess Yuyan felt that she had been humiliated. She looked at Princess Yu Tao and Infanta Yuanan, who were sitting aside with smiles, and her smile stiffened. Since Princess has come to Prince Chen's mansion, our prince has to tell Commandery Prince Qing. I wonder if Princess Yuyan is free tomorrow? Xiao Wanru said with a soft smile. As for how Chu Luqian would tell Chu Qing, it was not within her consideration. What was certain was that Chu Luqian was not the kind of person who would talk nicely. Then let's do it tomorrow. I hope Princess Qin can keep her promise. Princess Yuyan became more and more embarrassed. In the case that her identity was unknown, she was still the princess of the Su kingdom. What could she do? She just wanted to go shopping and enjoy the exotic scenery here. She couldn't say that she was trying to make friends with Chu Luiyue. She was very busy. Princess Yuyan, rest assured. Commandery Prince Qing will definitely come tomorrow. Xiao Wanru said meaningfully. Looking at Xiao Wanru, who was confident, Princess Yuan was so angry that her face turned slightly pale. But she couldn't really get angry. Xiao Wanru had helped her solve a big problem. At this point, there seemed to be nothing more to say. Princess Yuyan, who felt quite aggrieved, got up and said goodbye. Princess Yu Tao and Infanta Yuan and also got up. The three of them came together, so they naturally went out together. Xiao Wanru personally saw them off to the gate of the mansion. Seeing Princess Yu Tao get in a carriage alone, Princess Yuyan and Infanta Yuan and get in another carriage, and the carriage behind them belonged to Ruaping Great Elder Princess's mansion, Xiao Wanru raised the corners of her mouth silently. Princess Qin. The curtain of the carriage in front was lifted, revealing Princess Yu Tao's face. If we invite the young misses and madams in the capital city to enjoy the flowers in a few days, I hope Princess Qin can also come to enjoy the flowers. Princess Yu Tao sincerely invited Princess Qin. She had made an alliance with Chu Luqian, but it was quite inappropriate for them to meet each other because they were men and women. Prince Qin said that if she had any problems, she could turn to Princess Qin. At this time, of course, she had to win over Princess Qin. She was also very satisfied with Princess Chen's behavior just now, which could be seen from the fact that her arrogant sister had suffered such a big loss. Princess Yutao appreciated Xiao Wanru very much, so she showed her kindness to her. "Thank you, Princess Yutao. If I'm still in good health, I will certainly bother you." Xiao Wanru bowed sideways with a smile and looked up at the curtain of another carriage. The curtain fell heavily, and her eyes were shining. Princess Yuan was very unruly, which was actually very good. Infanta Yuan and was obviously stirring up trouble inside, but an unruly princess with ulterior motives was not completely useless inside. It was said that the relationship between Princess Yuan and Chu Qing was not simple. In fact, this Princess Yuan was not as useless as she looked. If Infanta Yuan and really treated her as a chess piece, she was afraid that she would suffer a big loss. The carriages left one after another. In the carriage behind, Infanta Yuan and looked at Princess Yuan, who was so angry that her face turned pale, and comforted her softly. "Princess Yuan, don't be angry. Princess Chen is always like this. With such a temper, will Prince Chen still marry her? I heard that she is just an orphan girl. I really thought that she would be of great help to Prince Chen." Princess Yuan said angrily and said incoherently. "Princess, please be careful with your words." Infanta Yuan hurriedly said carefully and reached out to point outside the window, in case someone outside hears it. "Even if someone hears it, so what?" Princess Yu Yan said angrily. She unconsciously lowered her voice. "Isn't it just that her looks are satisfactory? Are there not a lot of women who look satisfactory? If Prince Chen likes this kind of women, our Su country can send 8 or 10 of them here." Infanta Yuan secretly curled her lips and didn't take Princess Yu Yan's words seriously. She was also jealous of Xiao Wanru's appearance. Xiao Wanru was exceedingly beautiful, and there were few women in the world who looked like her. Even if there were similar looks, her temperament was unique. She was elegant with charm, and her lips were thick and bright, which made people feel that she was elegant. Infanta Yuan thought that she had seen many women, but she had never seen one like Xiao Wanru. Even though Xiao Yanru used to be famous in the capital city, she couldn't compare with Xiao Wanru's stunning appearance. "Will Commandery Prince Qing really come tomorrow?" Infanta Yuan carefully deviated from the topic. "If he doesn't come, I will go to Prince Chen's mansion and ask Princess Chen why she promised me so shamelessly. What does she mean? Are you looking down on our Su country, or are you looking down on our 2 princesses?" Princess Yun said angrily and blushed with anger. She had intended to embarrass Xiao Wanru, but in the end, she was the one who was embarrassed. Whether she looked down on the Su country or the princesses of the Su country, it meant the same thing. Even if Xiao Wanru was Princess Chen, so what? She would be a sinner of the country if she caused a dispute between the 2 countries. Infanta Yuan was very satisfied with the result. She talked with Princess Yuan for a while and mentioned Xiao Wanru from time to time with subtle provocation in her words. Princess Yuan didn't like Xiao Wanru in the first place, and now she disliked Xiao Wanru even more. She only felt that Xiao Wanru was a stepping stone for her. Especially when she heard Infanta Yuan say that Chu Luiyue seemed to treat Xiao Wanru differently, her face immediately changed. "You said that Prince Yu once wanted to marry her? There is such a rumor. It was said by a servant of the Empress." Infanta Yuan said in an increasingly low voice, for fear that others would hear it when passing by the carriage. "I heard it when I went to visit the Empress last time. Infanta Yuan was going to marry Chu Liuzhou, the only son of the Empress. As his daughter-in-law, she was certainly different from other daughters-in-law, so she was not surprised to hear some secrets. Bitch, what a bitch." Princess Yuan was so angry that her face turned pale. Chu Luqian was the person she had been thinking about before, and she had not forgotten him until now. Chu Luiyue was the person she was thinking about next. She was about to hook up with Chu Luiyue, but she didn't expect that both of them were related to Xiao Wanru. Princess Yuyan immediately regarded Xiao Wanru as her mortal enemy. It was not that she didn't think that Chu Luiyue had a woman in his heart, but she just thought about it. She, who thought that she was prettier than others, felt that even Princess Yutao had no advantage in front of her. After all, she was more feminine than Yutao. Her mother said that men liked women's gentleness the most. However, Xiao Wanru was different. She envied Xiao Wanru's appearance from the bottom of her heart, but what made her envious was Xiao Wanru's gentle temperament, which was cold with gentleness and cold. It was originally a discordant feeling, but when it came to Xiao Wanru, it was so harmonious. Princess Yuyen had a sense of crisis. She gritted her teeth and said, "I will teach her a lesson." Chapter 1147. Qianqian. The latest chapter on medical skills of the Crown Princess was updated as soon as possible. Princess Yuyen's so-called beauty was naturally realized by Chu Qing, who would come over tomorrow. She believed that as long as she saw Chu Qing, she would definitely ask him to help her and even use him to fight back against Xiao Wanru. One of them had the intention, while the other had the intention. The more they talked in the carriage, the more congenial they became. After this exchange, they became as close as sisters. When they arrived at the residence, Princess Yutao jumped out of the carriage first. She looked at the two women behind her who were supported to get out of the carriage with a sneer in her eyes. Without waiting for them, she just smiled at Infanta Yuan and went straight to the main room. Infanta Yuan was obviously an enemy of Prince Chen's mansion. The future Princess Zhou? Princess Yutao looked down on her because she was on the same side as Princess Yuan. Compared with Infanta Yuan, she felt that the future Princess Yu was more worth looking forward to. "Princess Yuan, I have something to do, so I'll go back first," Infanta Yuan said with a smile. She had achieved her purpose of coming here today and established a good relationship with Princess Yuan. At this time, it was not appropriate for her to get too close to the two princesses of the Su Kingdom. It was enough to accompany them to Prince Chen's mansion. Infanta Yuan was valued by the Empress because of her own reasons. She knew that this was the best time to go back. "Stay for a while. I happen to have something to ask you." Princess Yuyen took Infanta Yuan's hand intimately and didn't intend to let her go back like this. It was rare for her to find a person who was familiar with the capital city and didn't get along with Xiao Wanru. She might even know about Princess Chen and Prince Yu. She wanted to inquire more about it. It had been too short along the way, so there were still many things she hadn't found out. "Princess, I'm really sorry. When I came here just now, my grandma told me to go back early. Next time I come, I must report to my grandma and stay a little longer," Infanta Yuan said with an embarrassed look. "Are you really going to leave? Don't you want to stay a little longer? Shall I visit Ruiping Great Elder Princess?" Princess Yuan looked at Infanta Yuan expectantly and said reluctantly. Infanta Yuan's heart skipped a beat. She hurriedly waved her hand and said, "Grandma is not well. I'm afraid it's not convenient for me to receive you at this time. Next time." Her grandmother had told her not to bring the princesses of the Su Kingdom back to the mansion. She didn't want to see the two princesses of the Su Kingdom at this time. The situation was unclear, so she had to wait and see. "All right then." Princess Yu Yen put down her hand with a face full of pity. "Princess Yu Yen, I'll go back first. I'll come see you tomorrow, all right?" Princess Yuan suggested with a smile. She had something to say to Princess Yu Yen today, but now was not the best time. Tomorrow, after Commandery Prince Qin came to visit Princess Yu Yen, she would follow him and ask if there was any opportunity she could take advantage of. Of course, it didn't matter if Chu Qing didn't come. Some things could be understood positively and vice versa, right? Princess Yuan and Princess Yu Yen reluctantly parted. Princess Yuan boarded her carriage and left. Princess Yu Yen watched her leave. Only when the carriage was out of sight did the smile on Princess Yu Yan's face turn cold. With a cold snort, she turned around and walked back inside. Yin was a very good ally. She only hoped that this ally would not think of obtaining too many benefits from her. Chu Qing was invited to Prince Chen's mansion. He waited in a flower hall of Prince Chen's mansion, looked at the sky outside, and calculated the time. It had been almost 2 hours. The tea had been refilled several times, but the answer he got was always to wait. He was also a commandery prince of a country, and he also had something to do. Why did he keep waiting? They were all the sons of the former emperor, and no one was more noble than the other. What did Chu Luchun mean? After finishing the third cup of tea, Chu Qing put down his hand heavily. He couldn't help standing up with a cold face. Chu Luchen asked him to come over, but he kept waiting. Commandery Prince Qing, shall I refill your tea for you? The little eunuch beside him hurriedly stepped forward and said in a shrill voice. No need. Chu Qing said angrily, turned around and strode out. What's wrong? Is there anything else, Commandery Prince Qing? The door was pushed open, and Chu Luchen walked in slowly. He was wearing a loose light white brocade robe casually. The belt of his robe was not tied up, and there was a faint wind in the forest. The corners of his lips on his handsome face were slightly raised, but it inexplicably made people feel cold. Chu Qing's heart skipped a beat, and he hurriedly stopped. Are you leaving? Chu Luchen came in with a book in his hand. He shook the book in his hand and asked casually. It's good to go back. It saves me a lot of trouble. Chu Qing's heart skipped a beat. He clenched his hands hard, but a smile appeared on his face. Seeing Chu Luchen go inside and sit down, he turned around and said, I thought you had something to do, so I wanted to leave first. Since you are here, I naturally have nothing to do here. He sat down on the chair beside him with a smile, saluted with his hands, and said, I wonder why you called me here. Chu Liuchen's current status was not the same as before. Chu Qing did not dare to provoke Chu Luchen in the past, and now he did not dare to do so. Although he was full of anger, he had to show a gentle smile on his face. It's nothing important. I just want to talk to you about Princess Yuan. Chu Luchen looked up at Chu Qing and did not care about Chu Qing's quiet attempt to get closer to him. About Princess Yuan? What's the matter? Chu Qing's heart skipped a beat, and he hurriedly calmed down and asked. Princess Yuan asked you when you will go to the Imperial Palace to ask for an Imperial edict to marry her. As for the previous one, although Princess Yuan did not say it clearly, you can't keep him. Chu Luchen said slowly, I'm afraid that Princess Yuan of the Su Kingdom will not agree if Commandery Prince Qing wants to enjoy the happiness of having 2 wives. Chu Qing's eyes flashed with a trace of hatred for Chu Liuchen's sarcasm, and the blue veins on his hands almost stood out. He really felt that he had been disgraced by Princess Yuan. Even if he married her in the end, he could not do anything to Mo Chui. This matter had been explained at the beginning, but she still refused to let it go. I've already said this when I was in the Su Kingdom. If Princess Yuan is not willing to marry me, it's okay. Chu Qing suppressed the rising anger in his heart and said, That was before and now is now. Don't you understand that times have changed, Commandery Prince Qing? Since Princess Yuan of the Su Kingdom likes you, we have to show our sincerity. We can't ruin the relationship between the 2 countries because of a woman. My imperial uncle still wants to get some news from the Su Kingdom. Chu Luchen rolled his eyes, revealing a trace of perceptible sarcasm. He leaned back lazily and comfortably and said, Originally, this kind of thing is not my business. I am just a messenger, and I only need to bring Princess Yuan to the capital city. Next, it is your own business with Princess Yuan. But Princess Yuan came to my mansion specially to say this, and I can't do anything about it. If I don't care about it, it will seem that our country is rude. Of course, Chu Luchen saw Chu Qing's anger, and his handsome face looked gloomy. He hated it most when someone disturbed Xiao Wanru, let alone someone who wanted to take advantage of Xiao Wanru. It was Princess Yuan who took the initiative to find Chu Luchen. Chu Qing gritted his teeth angrily. He thought Princess Yuan was smart before, but now she made such a big trouble for him. Was Chu Luchen an easy person to find? He didn't dare to provoke him in daily life, but now Princess Yuan provoked him. Commandery Prince Qing, you'd better deal with that woman. For the peace of the 2 countries. Chu Luchen said casually. He looked at Chu Qing's stiff face and saw the hidden anger that Chu Qing carefully hid. Brother, I'm afraid it's not appropriate. Chu Qing exhaled hard to suppress the anger that was about to rush out of his heart. The anger in his chest was almost burning. Princess Yuan actually gave Chu Luchen such an above-board reason to reach out to Commandery Prince Qing's mansion. What's wrong with it? She's just the daughter of a minor official. I heard that you haven't met her before. Didn't you say that you have been living in the Yuhui nunnery and have never seen outsiders? Chu Luchen asked lightly. Of course, it meant that the two of them probably hadn't met each other before. Even if they had met each other before, they had only met secretly once or twice. There was not much affection between them, so there was nothing to be reluctant about. Could Chu Qing say that he had known Mo Chioi for a long time? Could he say that he had been in touch with Mo Chioi for a long time? Well, my mother said that I owe her a favor. Chu Qing had to explain. A favor? Chu Liuchen's face changed. He sat up a little straighter and his eyes fell on Chu Qing's face coldly. What do you mean, Commandery Prince Qing? Do you mean that the old princess of Commandery Prince Qing had secretly left the Yuhui nunnery before? Or do you mean that this woman's elders had done something for the old princess of Commandery Prince Qing when she was in the Imperial palace? Brother, you must be joking. How could such a thing happen? Chu Qing said with a dry smile. He was very uncomfortable and secretly vigilant. Chu Liuchen was not a person to be trifled with. He was originally temperamental, so he couldn't let him have something on him at this time. He only hated that Princess Yuyan was not a good person. How could she make such a thing happen? When they were in the Su country, she repeatedly said that she would support him, but it turned out that she supported him in this way. Since she didn't do it, how could she owe her a favor? How could the old princess of Commandery Prince Qing be so obsessed with her and worship a woman from a small official's mansion like a Buddha? Chu Liuchen smiled again. He flicked his slender fingers on the table and glanced at Chu Qing with an inexplicable meaning. Then his expression softened again. Now that things have come to this point, no matter what kind of favor this woman has done for the old princess of your mansion, you should give up. Only when you have a country can you have a home. If you can't do it yourself, I can help you. No need. Chu Qing suddenly stood up and waved his hands. If Chu Liuchen really did this, it would be a mess. If Chu Liuchen took action, there would definitely be a storm of blood, and he might also expose himself. If the Mo clan staked everything on one throw, he was afraid that even he would be destroyed. To a certain extent, he could make use of the Mo clan, but he couldn't destroy them. Really? Chu Liuchen said playfully. Really? Chu Qing shook his head decisively again, with cold sweat on his back. He would never let Chu Liuchen intervene in this matter. Chapter 1148. Remember in 1 second, 800 mail sign /say, net wonderful pop-up window free reading. Thank you, Brother Wang, for telling me about this. I still have some matters to attend to here, so I'll take my leave first. Rest assured, Brother Wang, I'll definitely settle this matter. I won't trouble Brother Wang, and I won't provoke a war between the two countries. Chu Qing said all the words in his mind in one breath. After that, he bowed to Chu Liuchen heavily and left. If this king intervenes, this matter can also be handled very quickly. Chu Liuchen's interest seemed to be aroused, and he asked with great interest, "Just a little girl?" Chu Qing shook his head decisively. It's not just about a woman. It's also about trust. Faith? Why does Commandery Prince Qing need so much trust? The lazy voice could easily make people feel a little tired, but Chu Qing's forehead broke into a cold sweat when he heard it. Of course, an ordinary prince didn't need too much trust, but what if he had other intentions, or if his intentions weren't small? Brother Wang, you must be joking. I just feel that one cannot stand without trust. Chu Qing became more and more careful. Facing Chu Liuchen, who was moody, Chu Qing had been worried that other accidents would happen. Since that's the case, you can go back first. Princess Yuyan's matter is also a matter between the two countries. Chu Liuchen waved his hand and said lightly, "Yes, I'll take my leave then." Chu Qing nodded repeatedly. This time, Chu Liuchen didn't make things difficult for him. He waved his hand to let him leave and lowered his head to read the book in his hand. Chu Qing retreated gloomily. When he reached the door, he breathed a sigh of relief and looked back at Chu Liuchen's reaction secretly. Chu Liuchen should not find anything unusual. Thinking about how she almost exposed herself just now, her face turned green and red. What is Yu Yan trying to do? What good would it do her if she really angered him? What a brainless girl. She thought this was her country and she could do whatever she wanted. Let's go to the two princesses' residences, Chu Qing said immediately after they got on the carriage. Your Highness, it's getting late. The carriage driver reminded him. Let's go, Chu Qing said with a gloomy face. He didn't want to wait any longer. The carriage made a turn and headed towards the house where the two princesses were staying. In the living room, Xiao Wanru came out from the back of the flower hall and sat down on the other side of Chu Luqian with a smile. Xiao Xuanzi hurriedly served Xiao Wanru a cup of fragrant tea. Commandery Prince Qing seems to be in love with her, Xiao Wanru said with a smile. She had been hiding behind it just now and heard it clearly. It looked like a wall behind it, but in fact, people could sit behind it. Affectionate and loyal? Chu Luqian sneered and said, Shuishua, do you think so? Xiao Wanru shook her head. She just felt strange. Were Chu Qing and Imo Chui so close? When Chu Luqian took her out at night, he saw Chu Qing going to Imo Chui's courtyard. There were many secrets in the Yuhui nunnery, and what happened to Chu Qing was one of them. After thinking for a while, she said, Your Highness, who do you think he will marry? Chu Qing's current situation was quite interesting. It seemed that both of them were going to marry him, but Princess Yuyan was not a peaceful person. There was already Xiao Jie in Commandery Prince Qing's mansion. Was Imo Chui and Princess Yuyan going to marry each other? If so, Commandery Prince Qing's mansion would be really lively. No matter who he wants to marry, there are some things that he can't decide on. Chu Luqian stood up lazily and walked to Xiao Wanru, who was dressed in a plain white dress. In front of Xiao Wanru, who was dressed in a plain white dress, he reached out to hold her soft hand and said with an enchanting smile in his eyes, He thinks that everything is under his control, but he only grasps a small part of it. Let's go. Don't worry about this kind of thing. Walk with me. Haven't we walked past it just now? Do we still have to walk? Xiao Wanru said helplessly. When Chu Qing came over, the two of them were strolling in the garden. They came over when they were tired. One of them entered the flower hall from the front door, and the other just came in from the back. At that time, Chu Qing's attention was all on Chu Luqian, so he didn't notice the sound of Xiao Wanru entering the door. Moreover, Xiao Wanru was very careful, for fear that she would make a sound and disturb Chu Qing. Let's go and have a look. If you like those flowers, I'll ask someone to plant some more on the edge of the purple bamboo forest. There are bamboos and flowers. It's a wild scene. Isn't it beautiful? Chu Luqian pulled Xiao Wanru out of the flower hall, looked down at her and said with a smile. The wind blew, and their clothes were tangled and their skirts fluttered. They held hands and went to enjoy the flowers together. In Princess Yuyan's mansion, Chu Qing just got out of the carriage and snorted coldly at Princess Yuyan, who came to welcome him, with a livid face. In fact, Princess Yuyan didn't want to come to pick him up. She was the princess of a country, so why should she welcome a prince? However, thinking of what her mother said to her when Qing came over and her current situation, she thought that she had to build a good relationship with Chu Qing. In order to show her friendliness, she specially came out to welcome him. She felt very honored that Chu Qing would come at this time. She had just sent out the news that Chu Qing would come over. It was supposed to be tomorrow, but she didn't expect that Chu Qing would come so soon. It was going to be dark soon, and some servants had already carried lanterns to light the fire. However, she didn't expect that Chu Qing ignored her as soon as he got out of the carriage and just snorted coldly. Princess Yuyan immediately lost her temper. He was really shameless. With gloomy faces, they walked into the hall one after another. Princess Yutao was also in the hall. Seeing the two of them come in unhappily, she smiled. It seemed that there would be a good show to watch again. She had thought that it would be tomorrow, but she didn't expect that she could watch it again today. Princess Yutao sat on the wide chair and didn't intend to go out. She just wanted to watch the show quietly. Greetings, Princess Yutao. When Chu Qing saw Princess Yutao, he stepped forward and bowed. Princess Yutao waved her hand and said indifferently, You're welcome. Did Commandery Prince Qing come to see my sister at this time? Consortly can rest assured now. Even in the Eastern Song Kingdom, Commandery Prince Qing still regards you as the most important person in his heart. Her words made Princess Yuyan's expression look a bit better. She snorted and sat down on the chair next to Princess Yutao. She raised her eyebrows in disapproval and glanced at Princess Yuyan with a bit of pride. The three of them sat down. Chu Qing suppressed his anger, and his expressions softened a little. He smiled at Princess Yu Tao and said, "I have something to discuss with Princess Yu Yan. Is that okay?" Princess Yu Tao was Princess Yu Yan's older sister, and she was also the bridal envoy. "Please go ahead, Commandery Prince Qing. I still have something to do, so I can't accompany you." Princess Yu Tao stood up sensibly and spoke with some regret. She was actually more willing to stay and watch the show. However, since Chu Qing had suggested it, it was inconvenient for her to stay. Looking at Chu Qing's unnatural smile, she smiled and left with her people. "If you have something to say, Commandery Prince Qing, just say it." Princess Yu Yan glanced at Princess Yu Tao's back disapprovingly, raised her head slightly and asked. She was the one who had called Commandery Prince Qing here, but she just said that at that time to make things difficult for Xiao Wanru. "Princess Yu Yan, please conduct yourself with dignity. This king doesn't care what you're thinking right now, but please remember that you're currently in the kingdom of Dongtsang, not your Su kingdom. Everything has to be done according to the rules of the kingdom of Dongtsang. If you break the rules, Princess Yu Yan won't be able to recover either." Chu Qing came with anger. As soon as Princess Yu Tao left, he couldn't help but raise his eyes and stare at Princess Yu Yan angrily. Princess Yu Yan didn't expect that Chu Qing would get angry as soon as he came. After being stunned for a moment, she flew into a rage and slapped the table hard, almost knocking over the teacup on the table. "Chu Qing, what do you mean?" "What do I mean? Doesn't Princess Yu Yan know?" "It has nothing to do with Princess Yu Yan how to arrange my people. Even if Princess Yu Yan marries into Commandery Prince Qing's mansion, Qiu Yi will still be Consort Ping, whose status is not lower than that of Commandery Prince Qing's mansion." Chu Qing was as angry as he had been in Prince Chen's mansion before. Seeing that Princess Yu Yan still pretended to know nothing, the anger in his heart rushed up. He slapped the table hard, and the teacup on the table was immediately knocked over. "Chu Qing, you don't think that I want to marry a poor man like you. Why don't you look in the mirror? If it weren't for you..." Princess Yu Yan was so angry that her face changed dramatically. She stood up, pointed at Chu Qing and scolded him. Seeing that the situation was not good, a nanny beside her hurriedly took 2 steps forward, pulled her back, and said in a low voice, "Princess, please be careful with your words." This nanny was a confidant sent by Consort Li. Seeing this nanny, Princess Yu Yan immediately came to her senses and hurriedly stopped talking, but her face was still livid with anger. She looked at Chu Qing's gloomy face and said, "Commandery Prince Qing, what do you mean? You came in and blamed me without saying a word. What did I do wrong? Why did Commandery Prince Qing come here overnight without stopping for a moment?" The implied meaning in Princess Yu Yan's words also frightened Chu Qing. His face was very pale, but he finally sobered up and said, "Did you go to Prince Chen's mansion and ask him to invite me here?" "So what? What do you mean by not showing up these days?" Princess Yu Yan's heart skipped a beat, but she refused to admit defeat and asked back. "Prince Chen doesn't need to make decisions about my affairs. Are you afraid that I don't have enough things to do and that Prince Chen doesn't have enough hands?" Chu Qing calmed down and reprimanded her sternly. He looked around the hall and found that it was either his confidant or Princess Yu Yan's confidant. He lowered his voice and said, "Do you want both of us to get into trouble?" After saying that, he looked at Princess Yu Yan coldly. At the moment, the two of them were like grasshoppers on a string. They couldn't escape, and neither could they escape. Princess Yu Yan choked for a moment. Her confidant nanny helped her sit down, made tea for them again, and then stood outside the door to guard them. Just now, she saw Princess Yu Tao's guards pass by the door. Princess Yu Yan was so careless. There was not even a person guarding the door, but she dared to say such words. Thinking of the meaning of Princess Yu Yan's words just now, the nanny's back was soaked in cold sweat. How could he say such life-threatening words? She couldn't help but worry about this time she followed Princess Yu Yan to the kingdom of Dongtsang, but she hoped that the two inside could talk well and not cause any other trouble. Chapter 1149. It was quiet in the room at this time, and it seemed that both of them had calmed down in an instant. Although Chu Qing's face was very ugly, he did not get angry anymore. After taking a sip of water with a cold face, Princess Yun put down the teacup in her hand and said, "Commandery Prince Qing, I'll say it again. I don't like your Commandery Prince Qing's mansion or your Princess Qing, and I won't do anything to your woman. You can rest assured." The disdain in her words was obvious. Chu Qing's face turned livid again with a trace of hostility. He hated it when others spoke to him in such a tone, as if he were a pile of mud that could not be helped. He had known that Princess Yuyan did not want to marry him, but he did not doubt Chu Liuchen's previous words. It was one thing whether Princess Yuyan liked him or not. Given her character, it was normal for her to want to make a move on him because she did not want other women around him. Since he appeared in front of everyone, Chu Qing had been ridiculed by others. 8 out of 10 people looked at him with some contempt, as if he should not appear in front of everyone. Why was it that when Chu Liuchen appeared, everyone was cautious and did not dare to look at him for fear of provoking him, but when he appeared, not only did no one pay attention to him, but they also looked at him with disdain? From this point of view, Chu Qing did not like Princess Yuyan at all. What was the difference between her and those who despised him? He wished he could dig out such people's eyes and let them see clearly. But now it was not the time to fall out with Princess Yuyan. He still had to borrow Princess Yuyan and the place in the Su Kingdom. "So what if you don't want to marry me? When I was in the Su Kingdom, I told Consort Li about it, and in the end, she still let you marry me, didn't she?" Chu Qing said calmly, but there was still a hint of sarcasm in his words. Didn't she like him? Didn't she know how important she was? Did she want others to stop marrying her? It depended on whether he wanted her or not. Chu Qing's attitude also made Princess Yuyan furious. She had never suffered such a great grievance. She was inexplicably involved with Chu Qing, and her mother did not allow her to go back on her word, saying that it was good. What's so good about it? I don't want to marry a good-for-nothing like Chu Qing at all. After calming down, Princess Yuyan felt that it was better to speak calmly. This was the kingdom of Eastern Song. She could not be willful. No matter how calm she was, she still had something to ask of Chu Qing, so she couldn't fall out with him. Our horoscopes are not very compatible. Even if we really get together, I'm afraid it won't be good. You might as well help me and let me marry into another family. When the time comes, it will also be of help to you. Princess Yu Yan's attitude became amiable. When she looked at Chu Qing, she even revealed a trace of a smile. Are you crazy? Do you really like Chu Liuchen? Chu Qing widened his eyes and said in disbelief. Not only Chu Liuchen, but also Chu Liyue. Prince Yu is the emperor's eldest son, right? Princess Yu Yan glanced at him from the corner of her eyes without a care and gave him another plan. No matter which one of them is, their current situation is better than yours. If I enter either of their manners, I promise you that I will definitely help you and help you achieve great things. This is my imperial mother's wish. I will not disobey. Princess Yu Yan spoke as if it was a matter of course, as if she was wholeheartedly thinking for Chu Qing. It was very dignified. Chu Qing wished he could give this shameless woman 2 tight slaps. If he had known earlier that she would be restless, he would not have done so. He didn't expect that she was still so restless at this point. Help him achieve great things? If she was not going to marry him, he was convinced that this woman would definitely buy him out in the end. Who on earth do you like? Suppressing his anger, Chu Qing asked with his eyes slightly rippling. He was waiting for this woman to be badly hurt. At that time, not to mention being the princess, a concubine might be enough. Seeing that Chu Qing agreed with her idea, Princess Yu Yan was satisfied. She thought for a moment and said, "In fact, Prince Chen is really good. It would be best if he could marry into Prince Chen's mansion, but with Princess Chen around, I'm afraid it won't be easy. Why don't we? It's not impossible to get rid of Princess Chen. She has always been in poor health." Chu Qing interrupted her. Princess Yu Yan thought for a while and felt that it was still not possible. Princess Chen Xiao Wanru was too beautiful. Even if she didn't admit it on the surface, she had to admit it in her heart. Prince Yu. After all, he hasn't married yet, so there will be less resistance. Although Prince Yu hasn't married yet, he is going to marry Prime Minister Zhang's daughter. Do you think Chu Luiwei will give up such a great help as Prime Minister Zhang for you? Chu Qing asked. I am the princess of a country, and behind me is the Su country. Princess Yu Yan said indifferently. So what? Who do you think Prince Yu will choose between the princess of a small and remote country and a powerful minister of the imperial court? Chu Qing rudely broke Princess Yu Yan's dream. A small and remote country and a powerful minister of the imperial court. These two metaphors were more appropriate. In fact, Princess Yu Yan had thought so, but now she had to admit it willingly. She gritted her teeth and said, I can be a vice concubine for the time being. A vice concubine can also help you succeed. If you fail, I can also protect you in Prince Yu's mansion. When I ascend to that high position, you can assist me. Since she was willing to be a vice concubine, why didn't she enter his commandery Prince Qing's mansion to be a vice concubine? It was obvious that she looked down on him or thought it impossible for him. Chu Qing hated him, but he didn't show it on his face. Only a trace of viciousness flashed across his eyes. This should not only be Princess Yu Yan's idea, but also concubine Li's. On the one hand, she hooked him and said that she would help him succeed wholeheartedly. On the other hand, she let her daughter have other ideas and let him be her assistant. At that time, Chu Qing knew that concubine Li was not a simple woman. Now he saw this fact more clearly. This was not the relationship between the master and the assistant, but the monarch and the minister. There could be no mistake. Concubine Li was indeed a restless woman, as his mother said. Compared with Mo's faction, she was more tactful and more likely to have ulterior motives. They wanted to take his position and make him their subordinate. They were really daring. Even if you are willing to be a vice concubine, Prime Minister Zhang's mansion may not agree. Chu Luiwei can't go against Prime Minister Zhang's will for you. Chu Qing frowned slightly, as if he was really thinking about Princess Yu Yan. He didn't want to intervene in this matter. No matter what happened to Yu Yan in the end, it had nothing to do with him. One thing was certain, neither Chu Luqian nor Chu Luiwei was easy to trick. After returning, he should come here less often and keep a distance from Princess Yu Yan. That's not necessarily true. Is Prime Minister Zhang's daughter more beautiful than me? Moreover, my mother is the of the Su country, and my brother is the future king of the Su country. For this reason, he will definitely want to marry me. Princess Yu Yan said proudly. She didn't believe that Chu Luiwei wouldn't be tempted. When they looked at each other that day, Prince Yu clearly appreciated her. She was amazed at first sight, and she couldn't be wrong. Well, it's up to you, but you have to deal with it carefully. Don't let others get hold of you. Chu Qing didn't intend to persuade her, so he nodded at once and agreed with her idea. Then he stood up and said, Since you don't want to marry me, I should also avoid arousing suspicion. I won't come here during this period of time. Don't come to me if you have nothing to do, lest others misunderstand you. Of course, he was afraid that Chu Luiwei would misunderstand him. If Chu Luiwei was really interested in Princess Yu Yan, he would definitely not want Princess Yu Yan to be too close to another man, especially this man was Chu Qing, who was rumored to marry Princess Yu Yan. Princess Yu Yan felt that it was very reasonable, and she couldn't help but find Chu Qing pleasing to the eye. There was a charming smile on her face, which was amiable with a woman's tenderness, just like the beautiful scene when she and Chu Qing met for the first time in the Su country. You're really thoughtful. I will pay attention to it. But I've just arrived here, and there are many things I don't know. I need some information. Princess Yu Yan, don't worry. These are trivial matters. I will ask someone to secretly give you information, from Chu Luiwei to Chu Liuxin, and even to Prince Cheng. Chu Qing agreed immediately. Since he had made up his mind to let Princess Yu Yan explore the way ahead, of course, he would help her a little. It was not a problem to get some popular information, which could be regarded as letting Princess Yu Yan understand his kindness and relax her vigilance against him. Thank you, Commandery Prince Qing. Princess Yu Yan was happy, and her etiquette became more thorough. She turned to the side and bowed to Chu Qing. With a smile, she reassured Chu Qing, Don't worry. After I succeed, I will help you ascend the path to the top. This has always been your path, and no one is more suitable than you. Thank you, Princess Yu Yan. Chu Qing also bowed back politely. The two of them came and went, showing the style of aristocratic families. If one only saw this scene, no one would think that they had almost fought before. Chu Qing left contentedly. Princess Yu Yan specially sent him to the door. When she saw his carriage leaving, she specially waved her hand to show that the guest and the host were harmonious. After Chu Qing's carriage left, she entered the house. Instead of going to her own courtyard, she went to Princess Yu Tao's courtyard. This house was very large, but the two princesses lived on one side, far away from each other's courtyard. If she did not go there deliberately, she would not meet them by chance. Princess Yu Tao had already ordered the palace maids to light up the lanterns in the room. When she heard that Princess Yu Yan had come, she was slightly startled. She then had someone invite Princess Yu Yan in. "Big sister, have you thought about which guests you want to invite?" Princess Yu Yan asked with a smile the moment she entered the room. Her attitude was amiable. "I'm thinking. I just thought of these names. Do you want to add some more?" Princess Yu Tao pointed at a piece of paper on the table. There were only a few names on it, and Princess Chen's name was impressively written on it. "Elder sister, let me do it. Princess Yuan, and will come tomorrow, and I'll discuss with her about who we should invite. We've just arrived here, and we don't have anyone to guide us. I'm afraid that we'll make mistakes. What do you think?" Princess Yu Yan's attitude was completely different from before. Those who were not in the know would think that she had changed. Princess Yu Tao, on the other hand, was not surprised at all. She did not want to do this in the first place, so it was best for Princess Yu Yan to take over. She said indifferently, "Then take it." "Thank you, big sister." Princess Yu Yan was overjoyed, and her etiquette became even more thorough. She had to carefully draft this name list with Royal Princess Yuan. Chapter 1150. Nyang's visit to Ru, in Great Elder Princess's mansion, did not go well. She couldn't even enter Ru, in Great Elder Princess's mansion. Seeing that she was in such a state and had no name card, the people in the mansion naturally didn't send her a message. For 3 days in a row, Nyang didn't see Ru, in Great Elder Princess, so she was really a little anxious. After thinking for a night, she got up early the next day and rushed to wait outside the mansion. As expected, when the time came, and Great Elder Princess's carriage came out of the mansion. Yesterday, she had heard that and Great Elder Princess was going to see Princess Chin today. She left so early because she would go to the Imperial Palace to see the Empress Dowager after seeing Princess Chin. The carriage slowly came out of the mansion. And Great Elder Princess, who was in the carriage, looked good. Compared with 3 years ago, she felt that she was much more energetic. She was no longer as timid and listless as before. Now she was energetic in everything she did. She was a smart granddaughter and a well-behaved and sensible grandson. Although she still felt sad when she thought of her daughter, thinking about the current situation, she felt that God was not too bad to her. She went to see Xiao Wanru after knowing that she was sick again. Seeing that Xiao Wanru was really fine, she was relieved. Today, she went out to see Xiao Wanru again and got up early to talk with her in Prince Chen's mansion. The carriage suddenly stopped. Due to the inertia, and Great Elder Princess rushed forward and almost crashed out. Fortunately, the servant girls on both sides reacted quickly and hurriedly pulled her sleeves to stabilize her. "What's going on?" Nanny Gao struggled to stand firm with the help of the window and shouted angrily. The carriage stopped so suddenly that the person in the carriage almost had an accident. Reporting to Great Elder Princess, "Someone is stopping the carriage." The coachman was also shocked. The person suddenly rushed out from the side of the road, and he only had time to pull the reins tightly. Looking at the woman in front of him, the coachman was extremely angry. She rushed out like this and even reached out to stop the carriage openly. Was she not afraid of being hit by the carriage? He had heard that the carriage belonging to the Ruaping Great Elder Princess had an accident, causing Princess Yuan Anne's face to be disfigured. The coachman didn't have a good ending. Nanny Gao looked at Ru, and Great Elder Princess. Seeing that she was fine, she lifted the curtain and got off the horse. She looked at the woman standing in front of the carriage and looked her up and down. She frowned and asked unhappily, "Who are you? Why do you stop the carriage of our great elder princess? This woman looked a little familiar. She was about 30 years old, but inexplicably made people unhappy. She looked a little too gentle, which Nanny Gao didn't like very much. Gao Momo, do you still remember me? Yin Yang knelt down with a plop sound and cried with tears. She looked at Gao Momo excitedly. Who are you? Gao Momo was shocked. She stepped back and looked at Yin Yang suspiciously. In the carriage, and great elder princess asked someone to lift the curtain and look down from the window. She also saw the woman kneeling in front of Nanny Gao. From her angle, she could only see the top of her head, so she couldn't recognize who the woman was. Although it was early, some people passed by. Seeing the scene in front of them, the passers-by stopped and didn't know what was going on. Nanny Gao, I'm Yin Yang. Seeing that Nanny Gao was still at a loss, Yin Yang walked a few steps on her knees and cried, I'm Yin Yang, the servant girl of the Infanta. Nanny Gao, do you still remember me? Infanta Qinghua? The servant girl Yin Yang? Nanny Gao was stunned. She reached out to rub her eyes and looked at Yin Yang again. In the carriage, and great elder princess's face changed greatly. This woman actually found her door. Zhuozhua had asked her to be on guard before. A trace of fierceness flashed in her eyes. Marquis Xing's mansion repeatedly plotted against Zhuozhua. Now they failed to plot against Zhuozhua and plotted against her. Nanny Gao, go back to the mansion. And great elder princess said coldly without hesitation. Yes, go back to the mansion first. Nanny Gao immediately reacted and told the coachman. Although the coachman didn't understand why he came out and came back, he certainly didn't dare to disobey his master's order. The carriage turned around and went back to the mansion. This young lady, you come in first. Let's go in and talk. I really can't recognize you. Gao Mama politely reached out and pulled Yin Yang up. She reached out and patted her clothes and said, Yin Yang was overjoyed to be able to enter the mansion so easily. It seemed that and great elder princess cared more about Infanta Qinghua than Princess Chen. That was good. The more she cared, the better. She followed Nanny Gao into the mansion and waited outside a nearby yard. After a while, she saw and great elder princess coming over surrounded by a group of servant girls and old maids. When she came to Yin Yang, she stopped. Greetings, great elder princess. Yin Yang knelt down and didn't dare to look up. Her eyes only fell on the feet of and great elder princess in front of her. After a long while, the feet moved. Get up first. Nanny Gao pulled her and asked her to get up. Yin Yang got up cautiously and followed Nanny Gao, not daring to look at her casually. When she arrived at the main room and saw and great elder princess sitting high, she knelt down again and said, Greetings, great elder princess. Are you the girl who accompanied Qinghua back? And great elder princess's eyes fell on the woman coldly, and a trace of hatred and anger flashed in her eyes. Marquis Xing's mansion, it was Marquis Xing's mansion again. Great elder princess, I finally met you. I thought I would never see you again in my life. Yin Yang's voice choked with excitement and she cried in a low voice. Tell me what happened to you? Didn't you say that you followed Marquis Xing? What do you mean now? And great elder princess calmed down and asked slowly. Her heart was burning with hatred. Originally, she thought that with her granddaughter and grandson, she could forget all these unhappy things. Now she found that she didn't forget them, but buried them deep in her heart. Yin Yang was not surprised that and great elder princess knew about it. Since she came here, she had planned it early. Princess Chen had told and great elder princess about her. Princess, I had no choice. At that time, I accompanied Infanta back and then served Infanta until she gave birth to the little heir. Madame Jiang hated me to the core. Infanta was gone, so I had no choice but to follow the mark. Otherwise, I couldn't even survive. Later, I left Marquis Xing's mansion. Yin Yang said while wiping her tears. She lowered her head as if her tears could not be wiped clean. She thought of her situation in Marquis Xing's mansion. At that time, Infanta Qinghua had died. She was a helpless servant girl. Moreover, Because Infanta Qinghua offended Madame Jiang, she had no one to protect her. She could only rely on Xiao Jing, Marquis Xing, who was okay. And Great Elder Princess was immersed in the grief of losing her biological daughter. How could she think of a little servant girl? Did you follow Marquis Xing for this reason? And Great Elder Princess asked in a deep voice. First Princess, I really had no choice at that time. If I didn't follow the Marquis, I'm afraid that I would have lost my life. In fact, it's not a pity for me to die, but I just think that Madame Jiang is too. Yin Yang said, wiped her tears hard, raised her eyes and looked at Ru and Great Elder Princess imploringly. Great Elder Princess, if it weren't for Madame Jiang, my master wouldn't have died so early. What do you mean? And Great Elder Princess pressed her hand hard on the corner of the table. Great Elder Princess, I met the little master before, but I didn't tell her about it. I was afraid that the little master would make trouble because of her young age. After all, it was seen by a servant girl of mine, and it has been so many years. Even if I told her, others wouldn't believe me. Yin Yang said. She cleverly explained that she went to find Xiao Wanru before. She explained the reason why she didn't tell Xiao Wanru about it. And Great Elder Princess felt that she really looked down on this servant girl called Yin Yang and slowly pressed her hand on her chest. Tell me. When the Infanta gave birth to the little heir, she was delirious, but occasionally she would be sober for a while. Every time at this time, Madame Jiang would deliberately ask someone to talk about the late heir, saying that the Infanta harmed the late heir and that it was the Infanta's fault that the late heir had an accident. If it weren't for the Infanta, the late heir wouldn't have. Yin Yang choked with sobs and felt indignant for her master. If it weren't for Madame Jiang who asked people to talk about this from time to time, the Infanta wouldn't have. Great Elder Princess, it was Madame Jiang who forced the Infanta to die. At that time, I stayed alive just to tell Great Elder Princess these things and to avenge the Infanta. Great Elder Princess, I can die without regret now. Yin Yang said with grief and indignation. If one only looked at her appearance, she indeed had the image of a servant girl who was loyal to her master. Ruhi and Great Elder Princess felt that if her granddaughter hadn't reminded her in advance, she would have been moved by this servant girl at this moment and even blamed herself, thinking that it was all her fault. She didn't think of this servant girl at that time, so she had to save herself and rely on others. She even thought that the reason why she became Xiao Jing's mistress was probably that she hated the Jiang family. In this kind of time, she would definitely help such a person in the past. Of course, she would also want to use her to deal with the Jiang family. After all, the Jiang family didn't appear in front of people now. Even if Rith and Great Elder Princess wanted to go out in person, she had no chance. The timing was very good. Everything was almost according to her character. With her character, she would definitely avenge her daughter and make the Jiang family suffer. What better way than to take away everything that the Jiang family cared about most? If it weren't for her granddaughter, she would have fallen into the trap. You're very good. You've suffered for so many years. I was negligent at that time and didn't know your situation. And Great Elder Princess said. I don't suffer. As long as it's for the Infanta, I'm not afraid of being smashed to pieces. But Madame Jiang, I'm helpless. Please help the Infanta. Great Elder Princess, the Infanta died unjustly. Yin Yang cried so hard that she couldn't speak, but she still kowtowed to and Great Elder Princess a few times, raised her head and said with hatred. This was the image of a loyal servant who would do anything for her master. Anyone who heard her explanation and saw her sad and angry look would think what she said was true. Chapter 1151. Madam of Jiang, I will not let her go. Ruyan Great Elder Princess gnashed her teeth. Great Elder Princess, if Great Elder Princess wants to avenge the princess, I'm willing to sacrifice myself to do so. Please tell me what to do. Seeing that the time was right, Anyang kowtowed again and looked at Ruyan Great Elder Princess earnestly with a determined look on her face. What do you want now? If you want to leave Marquis Xing's mansion, you can. Great Elder Princess frowned. Anyang shook her head hard and said, Great Elder Princess, I will not leave. I will not leave until I avenge the Infanta. Otherwise, I will not leave even if I die. You want to avenge Qinghua? Ruyan Great Elder Princess looked at her and asked after a long time. Yes, I want to avenge the Infanta. My life was saved by the Infanta. Without the Infanta, I would have died long ago. How could there be another slave? Anyang said again with hatred in her eyes, I want to enter Marquis Xing's mansion. Madame Jiang is different now. I can definitely find a way to deal with her and let her pay for the Infanta's life. You're just a concubine. If Xiao Jing really valued you, he wouldn't have let you wander outside for so many years. He's the legal wife. Ruyan Great Elder Princess said non-committally. She just stated a fact. Don't worry, Great Elder Princess. As long as I enter Marquis Xing's mansion, I will avenge the Infanta even at the cost of my life. Anyang gritted her teeth and said, For so many years, I have been trying to avenge the Infanta, but I have never had a chance. Now it is the best chance to deal with the Jiang family. I will never let it go. You are just a concubine. How can you enter Marquis Xing's mansion? Even if you enter the mansion, you are just a concubine. Since you are a concubine, you are below the Jiang family. As the legal wife, she has many ways to deal with you. If you enter the mansion, you will just die. Ruyan Great Elder Princess said. I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid even if I die. Anyang insisted. Seeing that she was so determined, and Great Elder Princess pursed her lips and stopped talking. Nanny Gao seemed to be moved by her and couldn't help saying, Great Elder Princess, since Anyang thinks so, please fulfill her wish. Let her enter the family with a higher status and ask Marquis Xing to give her the position of a co-wife so that she can have the ability to fight against the Jiang family. How can a mere servant girl like her fight against Madame Jiang? She is, after all, my son's loyal servant. How can I bear to see her sink into the mud again? And Great Elder Princess sighed, picked up a handkerchief and wiped her eyes. Get up. I will avenge my son by myself. If Great Elder Princess doesn't agree, I won't get up. Nyang was still kneeling. She placed her hands on the ground and clenched them tightly as she insisted. Great Elder Princess, please do as she says. This girl is also affectionate and loyal. She protected the Infanta back that year and now wants to avenge the Infanta. After this matter is over, you can protect her and her daughter. Nanny Gao persuaded again. It was obvious that she was also moved by Yang. You have a daughter? Great Elder Princess seemed to be moved and asked, If something happens to you, what will your daughter do? I have a daughter. Although my daughter was born outside, she is well-educated, loyal, and reasonable. She won't stop me. If something happens to me, she is still the miss of Marquis Xing's mansion. The Jiang family can't do anything to her, can they? Moreover, even if they really want to deal with my daughter, I won't regret it. Yang said sadly. Seeing her like this, and Great Elder Princess sighed and asked Nanny Gao to help her up. Well, I promise you that I can give you an identity and let you enter Marquis Xing's mansion as a co-wife. Thank you, Great Elder Princess. Thank you, Great Elder Princess. Yang looked sad but excited. Your daughter. I can also find the right time to recognize her as a foster relative. And Great Elder Princess favored her more. The foster relative of and Great Elder Princess, even if it was just a title, would also improve the identity of a mistress from another family. This was more than a little benefit for Yang. Yang wanted to kneel down to thank her again, but was stopped by Ru and Great Elder Princess. She said, You go back first. I will think about it again. How to properly arrange your identity. We can't let Xiao Jing feel something different. At that time, he will kill you. Thank you, Great Elder Princess. Thank you, Great Elder Princess. Yang thanked her repeatedly and then asked the servant girl to take her away. After she left, Great Elder Princess smashed the teacup in her hand on the ground fiercely. Her face darkened. How dare you lie to me? Enter Marquis Xing's mansion with a good identity? To deal with the Jiang family? If Zhuozhua hadn't reminded me in advance, I'm afraid I would have been fooled this time. I've regarded a servant girl who betrayed her master as a loyal person. She could even guess her character so accurately. It could be seen that she had been secretly scheming against her for a long time. Your Highness, don't be angry. Didn't Princess Chen expect it? Nanny Gao tried to persuade her. It was also Princess Chen's idea that she cooperated with Great Elder Princess to play such a role. Let's go to Prince Chen's mansion. And Great Elder Princess stood up and gave an order. She was particularly eager to see her granddaughter and talk about it. Nanny Gao asked someone to prepare a carriage again. This time, no one stopped them. The carriage went out of the gate of Great Elder Princess's mansion and went straight to Prince Chen's mansion. Chu Luchen went to the study early. There was only Xiao Wanru in the inner courtyard. She had just got up. Hearing that her grandma had come, she was stunned for a moment and hurriedly asked someone to invite her. Grandma, what happened? Seeing and Great Elder Princess come in with a livid face, Xiao Wanru hurriedly stood up, took 2 steps forward and bowed to her before asking. And Great Elder Princess took Xiao Wanru's hand and led her to the seat to sit down. Then she said angrily, I saw that girl. Xiao Jing's servant girl. How dare she dream of getting a high position? Did Yin Yang come to see you? Xiao Wanru asked, not surprised. After being rejected by her, she would definitely go to see her grandma. Neither Xiao Jing nor Yang would give up. Yes, she said that she wanted to avenge your mother and said that she would risk her life to enter Marquis Xing's mansion. I did what you said and said that I would give her a good identity and let her enter Marquis Xing's mansion as a co-wife. She was so happy that she couldn't cry. And Great Elder Princess was furious. Her daughter had been dead for so many years, but she was still plotted against in this way. Thinking of it, her heart ached. She reached out to cover her chest, only feeling that her heartbeat was out of rhythm, as if something was pricked on her old wound. The wound that had not healed before flowed thick blood again. How could she not hate? She almost overturned the entire crown prince of Marquis Xing with hatred. Grandma, rest assured. No matter how my mother died, it must have something to do with Marquis Xing's mansion. Xiao Wanru's eyes flashed with a trace of hostility, but she immediately suppressed it. She hadn't completely forgotten about her mother. She knew clearly that she didn't want her grandma to worry about her at this time. Her grandma seemed to be in good health, but in fact, after so many years of sadness, this strong old woman had long been tortured with injuries. Before everything was settled, Xiao Wanru didn't intend to tell her grandma everything, lest her grandma would worry, be angry, be depressed, and get worse in health. That servant girl was not sent by me as a dowry. She should have been given to your mother by Marquis Xing's mansion. I don't know if it was given to her by that old woman. Later, I saw her by your mother's side, but she was not the most intimate one. There were many servants by your mother's side. When Great Elder Princess calmed down a little, said to Xiao Wanru, and then took Xiao Wanru's hand and asked, what should we do now? I'll do as you said and appease her first. Since she entered the mansion to fight with the madam of the Jiang family, let her fight. Xiao Wanru said disapprovingly. She would not sympathize with the madam of the Jiang family, nor would she agree with her mother. In this case, she would just watch them fight. Grandma, you can get her an identity, a fake identity, but don't get her involved with you. No matter how they investigate, they can't find out that it is you. Xiao Wanru said. Her grandma shouldn't get too involved in it. It was better to stay away from these 2 women. This is easy. I can give her an identity. I happen to hear something that can be used. With her granddaughter comforting her, and Great Elder Princess soon calmed down. She wiped the corners of her eyes with a handkerchief, thought for a while, and then turned her head and asked Nanny Gao, did that family lose their daughter before? Yes, it means that they lost their daughter. I know what to do. Nanny Gao immediately understood what and Great Elder Princess meant and nodded repeatedly. Grandma, does it have anything to do with you? Xiao Wanru said worriedly. It has nothing to do with me directly. Don't worry. And Great Elder Princess patted Xiao Wanru's hand with gentle eyes and felt gratified. Grandma, let's do as you say, but don't tell my mother about it too early. Leave her alone for a few days. If she comes to the mansion again, you can meet her. She should not only have a way to deal with you, but also to deal with Xiao Wanru said concisely. She still wants to deal with Great elder princess was furious. She clenched the handkerchief in her hand tightly, as if she was pinching her mother. Grandma, Hao will be the heir of Marquis Xing's mansion in the future. Maybe he will inherit Marquis Xing's mansion, so he has to be independent. No matter how well you protect him, he has to get in touch with everything outside. Since they come to us, let Hao understand the affairs of Marquis Xing's mansion. He is not young now, so he should understand things. Xiao Wanru comforted Wu and great elder princess in a soft voice. Hao had grown up and was very smart. The only thing that dissatisfied Xiao Wanru was that Hao didn't say that he liked or disliked those people in Marquis Xing's mansion very much. Although he didn't like some things, he, who didn't know the inside story, could always find reasons for the crown prince of Marquis Xing. However, he couldn't be blamed. When he was a child, he didn't know how to beat people. He was just a spoiled bully. This time, he could see the true face of Marquis Xing's mansion clearly. There was no kindness in it, only the blood feud of his parents. In case he would be used by Marquis Xing's mansion in the future and go against her and her grandma, she would take this matter as a whetstone for Hao. Chapter 1152. As soon as Infanta Yuan arrived at Princess Yu Yan's courtyard, she saw Princess Yu Yan coming out with a smile. Seeing her affectionately, Princess Yu Yan pulled her back and said, "Infanta Yuan, I happen to have something to talk to you about." "Princess, what's the matter?" Infanta Yuan looked around and did not find Chu Qing. Come in and you'll know." Princess Yu Yan pulled her in with a smile. After they sat down, she smiled and handed a piece of paper to Infanta Yuan. "Help me take a look. What do you think of the people I've invited?" Only Princess Yu Yan knew most of the people here. Even if they did not know it before, they had weighed the pros and cons now. Infanta Yuan looked at it and was shocked. The people Princess Yu Yan invited were all invited, or it was good to be on good terms with her at this time. Did Princess Yu Yan have someone behind her? This is very good, but Prince Yu, Prince Zhou, Prince Chen, Prince Xian, and Commandery Prince Qing may not come. Infanta Yuan put down the paper in her hand and said with a smile, I still need your help with Prince Zhou's affairs. As for Prince Yu and Prince Xian, I'll go there myself. Big sister told Princess Chen that day in Prince Chen's mansion that they should come together. Princess Yu Yan arranged in an orderly manner. Princess wants to go to Prince Yu's mansion to invite people in person? Infanta Yuan looked up and asked in surprise. What are you afraid of? It's not that I can't find them. I just need to ask someone, Princess Yu Yan said indifferently. There is no mistress in Prince Yu's mansion. I'm afraid it's not good for you to come here so suddenly. Infanta Yuan reminded her implicitly. I know there is no mistress in Prince Yu's mansion, but I have no choice. I can't not invite Prince Yu just because there is no mistress in Prince Yu's mansion. Princess Yu Yan sighed and said, but the smile on her face did not match her regretful tone. It even made people feel that she was very happy that there was no mistress in Prince Yu's mansion. Infanta Yuan's eyes flashed, and she suppressed a trace of displeasure in her heart. Could it be that when Princess Yuan sees Prince Zhou, she would also think of Prince Zhou? After all, the situation in Prince Zhou's mansion was similar to Prince Yu's mansion. Princess Yu Yan is right. I was too narrow-minded. Countess Yun smiled and apologized. This caused Princess Yu Yan to have a good impression of him. She smiled and explained, "We are the princesses of the Su Kingdom. For our first banquet, we have to invite people from the royal family. Everyone is around the same age and there are only a few princes. We should at least get to know each other. The Emperor of the Eastern Song Kingdom will definitely be happy to see us getting along well." What else could Commandery Princess Yuan say when it came to the national level? He could not say that it was inappropriate for Princess Yu Yan to go to Prince Yu's residence alone. Anyway, he had already persuaded her. Whether Princess Yu Yan listened or not had nothing to do with him. At that time, he wouldn't be able to blame it on himself. His lips curled up silently. The two princesses have drafted a good piece of paper. However, not all the people on the paper will come. Princess, please be prepared. Many people from the Su Kingdom came to the capital to watch. I know. However, most of them will still come. Princess Yu Yen and the people around her had thought for a long time last night. Today, she showed it to Commandery Princess Yuan. On the one hand, she wanted to ask Commandery Princess Yuan and for advice. On the other hand, she wanted Commandery Princess Yuan and to explain. Otherwise, it would be hard for Princess Yu Tao to ask about it. Princess Yu Tao did not know many people. She had never heard of some of the people on the list. Princess Yu Yen could not explain why there were so many people on the list that she had never heard of. It's good that Princess knows. I'm afraid that the princess who has high expectations will be disappointed. The princes have made arrangements. What about Commandery Prince Qing? Did he come today? Commandery Princess Yun and calmly brought the topic to Chu Qing. He came yesterday. He won't come today. Princess Yu Yen said indifferently. She picked up the list and looked at it again. She felt very satisfied. Yesterday? Commandery Prince Qing came so quickly. Commandery Princess Yuan, and said with a smile. She rolled her eyes and said, Princess Qin is really capable. I thought he would come at least today. I didn't expect that he would get it done yesterday. The smile on Princess Yu Yan's face faded. She did not think much about it before. Now that she thought about it, she really had such a feeling. She immediately felt awkward and put down the paper in her hand. Did Prince Yu really propose to Princess Qin? Does Prince Qin know about it? Her current target was Prince Yu. Prince Qin should not know about it. The Empress would not take the initiative to tell him about it. Prince Qin is not the kind of person who would inquire about this kind of thing. Commandery Princess Yuan shook her head. In fact, it is not strange that Prince Yu proposed to marry Princess Qin. I heard that they knew each other before Princess Qin came to the capital. But at that time, everyone was young and did not have this idea. Princess Qin had not returned to the family. Princess Qin used to be the daughter of Ningyuan Army General. Why is she said to be the miss of Marquis Xing's mansion? Princess Yu Yen rolled her eyes and asked. She knew about it, but she did not know the specific situation. She inexplicably felt that there was something in it. They said it was because of the former heir of Marquis Xing and Infanta Qinghua. I don't know the details. Commandery Princess Yun thought for a while and said vaguely. Do you think they made a mistake? Princess Yu Yen asked. Commandery Princess Yun suddenly sat up straight and said hesitantly, It can't be. I heard that it was confirmed at that time, and it was also approved by old Madam of Marquis Xing and Great Elder Princess. It can't be wrong. You see, after I asked this, Commandery Princess is also confused. What if many people said so? Princess Yu Yen said with a hint of smile. Well. Commandery Princess Yuan thought seriously and said with certainty, the people of Marquis Xing's mansion and Great Elder Princess's mansion will not think so. So what if they don't think so? What if everyone thinks so? I heard that the current situation of Marquis Xing's mansion is not good, and they don't get along well with this Princess Qin. I also heard that this Princess Qin is not close to her biological grandmother, and even ruined the reputation of old Madam. Princess Yu Yen said indifferently. Commandery Princess Yuan suddenly smiled and said, If so, maybe Marquis Xing's mansion will also go back on their words, but I'm afraid it will not be easy. It's not easy, but it's not impossible. I hope your highness can help me. Princess Yu Yen whispered in Commandery Princess Yuan An's ear. How could the future Princess Zhou and Princess Qin get along well? They were destined to be rivals. Princess Yu Yen saw it clearly when Commandery Princess Yuan led them to Prince Chen's mansion yesterday. I'm afraid I can't help you. Commandery Princess Yuan looked embarrassed. It's just a little help. Won't your highness help me with such a little help? Princess Yu Yen was displeased and stared at Commandery Princess Yuan. Your highness's idea is good, but not many people will agree with you in a short time. Even if old Madam of Marquis Xing doesn't like Princess Qin, She will not rashly say that Princess Chen is not her biological granddaughter. Seeing that the time was ripe, Commandery Princess Yun then said with a smile. Princess Yu Yen smiled and narrowed her eyes. She liked the meaning in Commandery Princess Yuan An's words. I just looked at the list of your highness, and Zhang Qilan is also on it. She is the future Princess Yu, but because of what happened between Prince Yu and Princess Chen, she has a lot of opinions about Princess Chen. But before that, they were a pair of close girlfriends. When the two princesses entered the city that day, I saw Zhang Qilan standing downstairs with a jealous face and looking at Princess Chen upstairs, Commandery Princess Yuan, and paused for a moment. As expected, she saw that Princess Yu Yen became spirited and her eyes lit up. There is a conflict between Princess Yu and Princess Chen, and they used to be on good terms? Princess Yu Yen grasped the key point and was overjoyed. She had such an immature idea before. Now after Commandery Princess Yuan An's suggestion, she suddenly felt that this idea was feasible. If she had said this before in order to sound out Commandery Princess Yuan, now it was a really exciting idea. She wanted to deal with Miss Zhang and Xiao Wanru. No matter who they were not easy to deal with. But what if they made trouble? Princess, the relationship between them is very good, but it has not been good recently. After that, Zhang Qilan has not seen Princess Chen. Princess Chen still regards Zhang Qilan as her best friend. If we can make Princess Chen's reputation plummet, old Madam of Marquis Xing's mansion will say that Princess Chen is not her biological granddaughter. At this time, we can push it, Commandery Princess Yuan, and said with a smile. She had been worried that she had no chance to deal with Xiao Wanru. Now Princess Yu Yen came in, and it was just the right time. Good, that's a good idea. Princess Yu Yen understood and was overjoyed. She clapped her hands repeatedly. Fortunately, there is a princess. I feel like old friends with the princess at first sight, but Prince Consort Chen loathes each other. I can't stand this kind of delicate and weak appearance. Although Princess Chen only looked delicate, Princess Yu Yen disliked her very much. Why did the two men she liked want to marry Xiao Wanru? In front of Xiao Wanru, her proud appearance was not outstanding at all, and even made her, a dignified princess, become the background. Your Highness, I'm just afraid that Prince Chen will feel bad after knowing this. Forget it. Seeing that Princess Yu Yen took the bait, Commandery Princess Yuan, and hesitated again. She seemed to want to do it but did not dare to do it. She smiled bitterly and said, Your Highness, I'm afraid that you don't know that Prince Chen treats Princess Chen very well. My second brother almost bumped into Princess Chen on the stairs. Because of this, Prince Chen broke my second brother's arm, but in fact, my second brother did not touch Princess Chen at all. I can't believe such a thing happened. Your second brother is also the grandson of Great Elder Princess. How dare Prince Chen be so unscrupulous? Princess Yu Yen gasped, widened her eyes, and said in confusion. In fact, it's mainly because the Empress Dowager dotes on Prince Chen the most, and the Emperor can do nothing about him. Commandery Princess Yuan, and said helplessly. She was afraid that Princess Yu Yen would be really frightened, so she did not dare to say that the Emperor also doted on Prince Chen. As for the identity of concubine Lan in the palace, there was no need for a princess of a small foreign country to know. She was the future Princess Zhou, and Princess Yu Yen in front of her was at most the legal wife of Commandery Prince Qing. If she wanted to marry into another prince's mansion, she could at most be a concubine. At this time, she was still a princess of the Su country. As a princess of a country, if she married into a prince's mansion, she would only be a concubine, which would be the same as her status in the future. For this reason, Commandery Princess Yuan, and looked down on Princess Yu Yen. But now, she needed Princess Yu Yen. Princess Yu Yen also made up her mind to make friends with Commandery Princess Yuan. The two of them had their own evil intentions, but they pretended to be intimate on the surface. They went to the window hand in hand to discuss how to deal with Xiao Wanru. End of this chapter. Chapter 1153. As the night fell, Xiao Yanru appeared in the dark with her maid, Moyan, in the high tower in the palace. A tightly wrapped figure appeared, pointed to a dark corner, and said in a hoarse voice, "The thing Bao Lin wants is over there." Will there be a mistake? Xiao Yinru didn't go to take it directly. She looked at the figure in the dark and asked nervously. This was her last chance, so she specially came here. There will be no mistake. Don't worry, Bao Lin. The figure answered in a low voice. Don't call me Bao Lin. I'm not Bao Lin. Xiao Yinru suddenly flew into a rage and raised her eyebrows sharply. The word, Bao Lin, provoked her mood the most, and she hated this name to death. Mother of the world, what she wanted was the mother of the world, not this lowly Bao Lin. When Bao Lin is in the palace, he is naturally Bao Lin. The figure seemed to smile with an indescribable chill, but outside the palace, no one cares whether Bao Lin is the first miss or other misses. His words strangely calmed Xiao Yinru down. Suddenly she smiled and asked tentatively, In fact, you are my acquaintance, right? Bao Lin is wrong. I didn't know Bao Lin before. The figure in the dark laughed sarcastically, seeming to think that Xiao Yinru's words were too funny. I have been in the palace all the time, and I have no chance to go out to meet Bao Lin. If Bao Lin wants to talk about the old days, I'm afraid that you have mistaken me for someone else. I have something else to do, so I can't accompany Bao Lin. The figure in the dark walked inside. After a few steps, he heard Xiao Yinru's voice catching up with him, and suddenly stopped. Bao Lin, if you are not afraid of others knowing about what happened between you and me, please wait. After saying that, he continued to walk forward, but Xiao Yinru didn't chase after him. Her eyes fell on the place where the figure in front of her had not completely disappeared, and she pursed her lips tightly. She was 70% or 80% sure that this person was an old acquaintance of hers. But it was indeed not the best time, so she would let them pretend to be mysterious for a while. Bao Lin. Moyan took 2 steps forward and said in a low voice. Go and get the thing. Xiao Yinru calmed down her anger and said slowly. A little impatience would spoil a great plan. At this moment, she couldn't be flustered. Moyan hurriedly stepped forward, took out a small paper bag from that place, took it carefully, and handed it to Xiao Yinru, saying, Bao Lin. Let's go. Xiao Yinru turned around. She would not come to this place for the time being. When she entered the Imperial Palace in the future, she would not be in such a gloomy situation. She wanted to enter the Imperial Palace above board as a high-ranking or the Empress. A trace of hatred flashed in her eyes. How could a proud woman like her become the lowest Bao Lin, Xiao Bao Lin? What a joke! Even the Imperial Palace could not trap her. Sister, I really can do it. Xiao Yuanhao stuck out his chest and patted it hard to show that he got it. In the pavilion, Xiao Wanru covered her mouth and smiled. She raised her watery eyes slightly and looked at Chu Luchen, who was leaning aside. This person was really lazy. Even though he came to her maternal grandma's mansion, he still behaved casually as if he were in his own mansion. Chu Luchen, who was leaning against the fence of the pavilion, also raised his eyes and looked at Xiao Wanru's watery eyes. He raised the corners of his thin lips silently and narrowed his eyes slightly, which was the same shape as the white and fat cat in his arms. Sure enough, the pet looked like the owner. Yunhao, come here. Chu Luchen waved to Xiao Yuanhao. Brother-in-law, what's the matter? Xiao Yuanhao immediately ran over. He was faster than her calling him over. Xiao Wanru felt that this younger brother was raised for Chu Luchen. Chu Luchen reached out and touched Xiao Yuanhao's hair. Xiao Yuanhao smiled comfortably and narrowed his eyes. Xiao Wanru felt that this child was like the cat in Chu Liuchen's arms. They only needed to snore and roll around to show their happiness. Your sister is worried about your young age, so she specially comes to tell you. Brother-in-law, do you think that you don't need to tell me anything? Yunhao is a man now, and I should protect my sister in the future. Chu Luchen asked gently and looked more and more appreciative. Xiao Yunhao puffed out his chest and said proudly, Brother-in-law, don't worry. I have grown up and can protect Grandma and sister in the future. I won't let Grandma and sister worry about me anymore. It's good that you think so. Your grandmother only has you and your elder sister now. Your elder sister only has you and great elder princess. You are the only man. Of course, you are the pillar of their family. Chu Luchun said with a smile. He was handsome and gentle. Xiao Yuanhao felt that his brother-in-law was a gentleman in books, so whatever he said was right. He looked at Chu Luchun with admiration and nodded repeatedly. He was the pillar of grandma and sister and the most indispensable man in the family. He should support his sister in the future. Thinking of this, Xiao Yuanhao suddenly hesitated. Supporting his sister actually included beating his brother-in-law, right? He heard from several classmates that if any brother-in-law treated their sister badly, his brother-in-law would beat him up. But his brother-in-law was such a gentle and elegant man. How could he bully his sister? So he didn't have to worry about it. As for being bullied by Chu Luchun when he was a child, Xiao Yuanhao had automatically forgotten it in his heart. The brother-in-law in front of him was as handsome as an immortal, and he was worthy of his sister. Well, let's go to greet grandma. Xiao Wanru said helplessly, looking at her silly brother, who was full of energy and whose eyes were shining because of Chu Liuchun's scolding. Go ahead. I'll rest here for a while and won't go with you. Chu Luchun waved his hand and said very lazily. The scenery here was good, the terrain was good, and the view on the rockery was very open. It was indeed a good place. It was not convenient for Chu Luchun to show up at this time, so it was good to stay here. Then I'll take Hao there first and come back later. Xiao Wanru said. Okay. Chu Luchun nodded with a smile. The sister and brother left the pavilion, went down the rockery and went to the courtyard where and great elder princess lived. As soon as they arrived at the door of the main room, they heard the voice inside. Xiao Wanru raised the corners of her mouth silently and showed a trace of sarcasm. Sure enough, she had been ignored for a while. Now she rushed over as soon as she had a chance. It was the girl named Ainyang inside the door. Hearing the servant girl's report, Nanny Gao hurriedly went to the door and lifted the curtain. Great elder princess is talking about Princess Chen and the little heir. Grandma, is there someone in the room? Xiao Wanru stopped and asked in a low voice. It's not an outsider. It happens to be at this time. Nanny Gao explained softly. It's not a good idea for Hao to be here. Xiao Wanru hesitated for a moment and looked at Xiao Yuanhao beside her. Hao, come in. If it's someone you can't see, let's meet together. Then great elder princess heard it from inside and said loudly. Since and great elder princess said so, the two of them stopped talking. Xiao Wanru and Xiao Yuanhao entered the room together. Seeing and great elder princess sitting in the middle, they stepped forward and bowed to her. Zhuozhuo greets grandma. Hao greets grandma. Zhuozhuo, why are you here? It's really rare for you to come here with Hao. Let me have a look at you. Are you feeling better? And great elder princess reached out to pull them both over and let them sit in the chairs beside her. Then she looked at Xiao Wanru. Although she knew that Xiao Wanru would come here today, she was still not at ease, for fear that something bad would happen. She also knew that Xiao Wanru went to Marquis Xing's mansion and came back feeling unwell. As for the specific reason, Xiao Wanru didn't tell her, only saying that she suddenly felt very uncomfortable. This was the first time that Xiao Wanru came out since she came back from Marquis Xing's mansion. And great elder princess was very worried that Xiao Wanru would smell something uncomfortable again, so there was not even a flower in the room. Grandma, don't worry. I'm fine. I haven't come to see you for a long time, so I came here specially. When I came in, I met Hao, so we came here together. Xiao Wanru said with a smile. Hao had a rest today and happened to be at home. I wanted him to sleep a little longer, but he got up. Then great elder princess looked at the pair of little children, and the more she looked at them, the more satisfied she was, and the more she smiled. Xiao Yuanhao was now studying in the Imperial College and was not in the mansion on weekdays. Grandma, it's getting late. Brother-in-law said that I should get up to practice martial arts even if I don't study. Xiao Wanru shook her arms and said. He hadn't grown up yet. He was not tall and very thin, but he looked very energetic. Chu Luchun specially hired a martial arts master for him. He would practice martial arts after coming back from school on weekdays, and he would also get up early to practice during the holidays. Xiao Yuanhao liked practicing martial arts very much. Compared with those weak classmates, Xiao Yuanhao felt that he was much stronger. When several classmates fought together, he had never suffered losses, which made Xiao Yuanhao, who had been well protected by Ru and great elder princess, feel very proud. Of course, he would listen to his brother-in-law. If others did not offend him, he would not make trouble. If one asked who Xiao Yuanhao admired most at the moment, there was no one except his brother-in-law, Chu Luchen. "Grandma, why is she here?" Xiao Wenru glanced at Nyang, who was standing aside, and said lightly, "Greetings, Princess Jin. Greetings, Your Highness." Seeing that Xiao Wenru had noticed her, Nyang immediately stepped forward and bowed to her with an excited look. When she saw Xiao Yuanhao, her eyes turned red. "Your Highness has grown up. If the Infanta can see Your Highness, she will be pleased." As she spoke, she wiped the corner of her eyes with a handkerchief and forced a smile on her face. She stretched out her hand and lightly slapped her cheek. "It's all this servant's fault." This servant was too happy to see the little heir and said something inappropriate. "I really deserve to be hit. The little heir really looks like the little heir. It's as if they were carved from the same mold." As Yang said those pleasing words, the joy in her eyes almost overflowed. She looked very sincere. Xiao Wenru sneered in her heart. She was indeed made from the same mold as Xiao Jing. Her pleasing and kind look could really make people have a good impression on her. She specially came here today to meet Yang. Chapter 1154. Why are you here? Xiao Wenru looked Anyang up and down and said impolitely, "Don't talk like a child. Where can she be if not here? Thanks to her, your mother was saved. Even if she is a maid, she is a loyal servant." Ru and great elder princess reprimanded Xiao Wenru in a low voice. Although she was reprimanding, it could be seen that she didn't use much force. She really loved her granddaughter and didn't want her to suffer any grievances. It was said that Prince Chen valued Princess Chen, and it might be mostly because of Ru and great elder princess. After all, everyone could see the princess's love for her granddaughter. "Grandma, I think it's over," Xiao Wenru said with a calm look. "Although it's over, it's not over yet." Ru and great elder princess said with her face darkening, "I won't let your mother suffer such grievances." "Grandma, it has been a long time. In fact, some things can't be investigated. How can you completely believe what she said?" Seeing that Ru and great elder princess insisted on doing this, Xiao Wenru became anxious. "Well, don't say it. It has nothing to do with you, and it won't involve you. Just be Princess Chen." Ru and great elder princess was unhappy, but even so, she just said something with a little grievance and didn't use her identity as grandma to suppress Xiao Wenru. Anyang, who was listening on the side, was flustered. Once again, she sighed with emotion that Ru and great elder princess doted on Princess Chen. The two of them had different opinions, but Ru and great elder princess didn't reprimand her. She just said a few specious words lightly. If she had known that Princess Chen only wanted to live a comfortable life and didn't want to avenge her mother, she should have come directly to Ru and great elder princess. Compared with Ru and great elder princess, Princess Chen was really not powerful. It seemed that she didn't have any ideas. After going back, she would report to Master Ho about Princess Chen's attitude. Princess Chen was really nothing to be afraid of. Master Ho had misjudged her before. He actually thought that Princess Chen was the breakthrough. Later, she was forced to find Ru and great elder princess. He slightly lowered his head, concealing the smugness in his eyes. With a look of fear and trepidation, he stood at the side with trembling hands, not daring to say a word. "Grandma, sister, what are you talking about?" "What, mother?" Xiao Yuanhao looked at Ru and great elder princess and then at Xiao Wenru with a puzzled look. He was just a kid. No one would tell him about this kind of thing. Anyang suddenly thought of something. She stole a glance at Xiao Yuanhao, who had no idea what was going on. This was actually a very good entry point. "How? This has nothing to do with you. You can leave now. I have something to discuss with your sister." And great elder princess seemed to find that Xiao Yuanhao was also here. It was inconvenient for them to talk, so she said to Xiao Yuanhao with a smile. Sister. Xiao Yuanhao turned to Xiao Wanru. Go ahead. I do have something important to talk with Grandma. You can go out now. It's rare for you to have a rest. You can take a walk in the garden. Your brother-in-law asked me to bring you some things. They are in the open space beside the peach blossom forest in the garden. They are all interesting to you. Xiao Wanru also said with a soft smile. Like Ru and great elder princess, she wanted Xiao Yuanhao to leave. Seeing that his grandmother and sister were trying to drive him away, Xiao Yuanhao stood up helplessly and said, Grandmother, sister, I'll go back first. Sister, don't leave yet. I have something good for you too. Okay, I won't leave later. I will definitely come to see how. Xiao Wanru promised with a smile. Seeing that Xiao Wanru agreed readily, Xiao Yuanhao left. After Xiao Yuanhao left, the room became quiet again. Nanny Gao looked at Ru and great elder princess, whose face darkened, and then looked at Xiao Wanru, who looked weak but obviously a little stubborn. For a moment, she didn't know how to persuade her and could only sigh helplessly. Seeing this, Anyang became more and more sure of what to do. It was obvious that it was not the first time that Ru and great elder princess and Princess Chen had different opinions on this matter after she met Princess Chen last time. She narrowed her eyes slightly and carefully put away her thoughts. Master Ho said that Princess Chen was a thoughtful person and she should deal with her carefully. From the previous contact, Anyang also found that Xiao Wanru was not easy to deal with. At least compared with Ru and great elder princess, Princess Chen was more cautious and less trusting. Even though she was her biological mother's loyal servant, Princess Chen did not let down her guard. Compared with the other options, Anyang thought that she had better avoid Princess Chen. She strung up all the options in her heart. Princess Chen was the most difficult to fool, followed by Ru and great elder princess. Of course, the best one was the little heir. Judging from Ru and great elder princess and Princess Chen's attitude towards the little heir, it could be seen that they protected the little heir very well. This kind of protection had both advantages and disadvantages. Of course, the advantage was that it was not easy to be framed, but the disadvantage was that it was easy to be confused and difficult to take responsibility. She was too inexperienced and didn't understand the twists and turns in this matter. Anyang. A cold voice in her ear immediately made Anyang's heart tremble. She hurriedly raised her head and didn't dare to be distracted anymore. I'm here. Since you are my mother's maid, I don't know how my mother saved your life at that time and how you came to my mother. There are many servants around my mother and she doesn't lack a maid like you. Xiao Wanru's eyes fell on Anyang and she said fiercely. This was the reason why Anyang wanted to avenge Infanta Qinghua at that time. Report to Great Elder Princess and Princess Chen. Anyang calmed down. Since she had brought it up, she had been prepared. My parents died and I was an orphan. I was raised in my uncle's house. My aunt was vicious and wanted to sell me to a brothel when she saw that I was good-looking. After knowing that, I escaped in the middle of the night and accidentally fell into the river. Infanta happened to pass by and asked someone to save me. I swore to serve you to the death, so I stayed with Infanta. Speaking of this, Anyang said gratefully, if it weren't for Infanta, I wouldn't have been alive. My life belongs to Infanta. I swear to avenge Infanta. Xiao Wanru's attention had been on Anyang. Seeing that she was calm and confident, she silently raised the corners of her mouth. As expected, she was well prepared. It seemed that what she said was true. This kind of explanation could be put anywhere. Even if her mother originally didn't want such a servant girl and was moved by her persistence, she accepted such a person by her side. However, she didn't expect that this servant girl was not a loyal servant girl, but a poisonous snake that devoured people. She felt as cold as ice and as sharp as a cold blade in her heart. It couldn't be said in this way just now. Xiao Wanru had plotted against her mother a long time ago, so she sent such a maid to her mother's side. It was also because of this woman that Xiao Jing knew the whereabouts of her father and mother. Otherwise, how could Xiao Jing secretly leave the capital city and find his parents when Duke Xing's mansion failed to find them after making great efforts? She clenched the handkerchief tightly and then slowly loosened it with a gloomy look in her eyes. This woman was Xiao Jing's accomplice, and she had been prepared for a long time. Perhaps this woman was not just an ordinary chess piece that had been planted long ago? Xiao Wanru could be sure that even if her mother sent someone to investigate her at that time, it would still be a fact. An ordinary orphan girl couldn't do this. She looked at Qing, who was beside her, and then slowly turned her head, as if thinking about something. Qing was also an orphan. She had once told her some things about her previous missions. Anyang, Zhuozhuo still wants you to live a good life and not get involved in the affairs of Marquis Xing's mansion. After all, you are the only person left by my son. At least Zhuozhuo and I will take care of you. If you want to leave Xiaojing and live a new life with your daughter, it will be very easy. Then Great Elder Princess said. Great Elder Princess, I must avenge the Infanta. If Great Elder Princess and Prince Chen don't allow me to do this, I would rather die here now, so that I won't suffer day by day and miss my late master every night for so many years. Anyang cried again. She wiped her tears with a handkerchief and looked excited. What about your daughter? Xiao Wanru asked. My daughter is the Marquis's daughter. Even if something happens to me, the Marquis will take care of her. At the very least, she is the Marquis's daughter, so she won't live a worse life than me. Even if I'm gone, it doesn't matter, Anyang said with tears in her eyes and lowered her head to wipe her tears. She looked a little less excited than before. Xiao Wanru glanced at her thoughtfully. Her long eyelashes fluttered and she didn't say anything. When Great Elder Princess sighed and said with a gentle look, Since you said so, I got it. It's not urgent. I'll discuss it with Princess Chen and see what kind of identity to give you. We can't let you just follow Marquis Xing into the mansion and become a nameless concubine. When you fight against the Jiang family, you have no chance to win at all. Thank you, Great Elder Princess. Thank you, Prince Chen. Anyang said gratefully and finally felt relieved in her heart. The Marquis had repeatedly told her that if she couldn't pass the test of Prince Chen, she would definitely fail. And Great Elder Princess asked her again in front of Princess Chen, which should be to let Princess Chen understand her thoughts. Now Princess Chen didn't say anything, so it could be seen that she agreed to it. It was finally done. An imperceptible smile flashed across her eyes, and she seemed to be relaxed. Next, the Jiang family would die. The Marquis promised to give her the position of Madam of Marquis Xing. If the Jiang family was still alive, she would never have a chance. She didn't expect that an orphan girl like her could get such an identity. Anyang almost couldn't control the joy in her heart. At this point, it had nothing to do with Anyang. And Great Elder Princess asked a little servant girl to take Anyang away. After they disappeared in the room, and Great Elder Princess's face darkened and she said gloomily, Zhuozhuo, how should we deal with this bitch who betrayed her master? Chapter 1155. The road to Great Elder Princess's mansion was winding. The little servant girl who led the way looked about 11 or 12 years old. She had a sweet smile and was also a very likable servant girl. Along the way, she answered whatever Anyang asked her. She didn't look down on others like the servant girls of Great Elder Princess's mansion at all. She had a very good temper. After passing a corner, Anyang looked up at the garden in front of her. She suddenly stopped and asked in surprise, Is that the upper garden of Great Elder Princess's mansion? Yes, we can reach the garden from here. The garden in the mansion is very beautiful. At this time, the flowers and trees are in full bloom. It's the best time. The little servant girl also stopped and said with a smile, Can I go and have a look? Nyang reached out and pointed with an envious face. It seemed that she was a little embarrassed because of her proposal. After saying that, she blushed. But the little servant girl only hesitated for a moment and then agreed. Since Great Elder Princess called her over, there must be a reason. It was not a big deal to just walk around. Let's go through the garden, take a long way around, and then turn back to the gate of the mansion, okay? Thank you. Inyang nodded repeatedly. She took out a purse from her sleeve and handed it over. The little servant girl took it, turned into the previous corner with a smile, and walked into the garden of Great Elder Princess's mansion. And Great Elder Princess had lived in the princess's mansion for many years. The decoration inside was gorgeous and colorful. There were many flowers and trees. From time to time, they could see the carefully planted flowers leaning on the branches, which made people feel happy. Nyang praised the little servant girl while looking at it and asked the reason from time to time. The little servant girl was smart. Although she didn't know everything, she knew most of it. Her words were clear and logical. The more they talked, the better their relationship became. Along the way, they were so intimate as if they were a mother and a daughter. Xiaohuan, I heard that the peach blossom forest in Great Elder Princess's mansion is very good. Can I go and have a look? Yin Yang had already found out the name of the little servant girl and asked affectionately. Sure, but most of them have withered by now. Xiaohuan smiled. She turned a corner and headed towards the peach blossom forest. Before he reached the peach blossom forest, he could see a patch in the distance. Indeed, many of the flowers had withered, but there were still some on the branches. It looked like a sea of pink flowers. It was not bright, but compared to the surrounding water and mountain scenery, it was more delicate and beautiful. When he got closer, he saw some scattered petals on the ground. As the branches swayed, some of the petals also fell down. The peach blossoms in the princess residence are considered to be late. The peach blossoms in other places have already withered, Xiaohuan said with a look of pity. Nyang looked at the forest. The area was not small and she could not see the other side from here. The little heir should be on the other side. She rolled her eyes and suddenly squatted down with an eye-o. What's wrong? Xiaohuan looked over and asked. I seem to have sprained my ankle. Nyang stood up with the support of a branch on one side and moved her right foot. She frowned tightly and looked at the little servant girl in embarrassment. She said, Xiaohuan, can I trouble you to find if there is any medicine for spraining my ankle? There is still a long way to go out of the mansion. I'm afraid I can't walk all the way. Well then you wait here. Don't run around, or I won't be able to find you later. Xiaohuan looked at her and felt that she was indeed unable to walk, so she reminded her helplessly. The mansion of Ru and Great Elder Princess was very large. If she got lost, the little servant girl would not be able to come back. I'm sure I'll be able to find him. Out of worry, Zhang Xian reminded her. I will. Go ahead. I'll wait for you here. Yang looked around and saw a stone bench on the side of the road. She pointed there and said, Then I'll go to find the ointment. Don't go away. Xiaohuan nodded and said. Then she left. After Xiaohuan left, Yang looked around. It was not the season to appreciate peach blossoms, and there were no people at this time. She thought for a while and turned to the right. It should be in this peach blossom forest. Since there was no peach blossom on this side, she would look for it from one side to another. Nyang went to the right side first and then turned to the right side of the forest. This time, she didn't go far before she heard someone talking. After listening carefully, she found it was Xiao Yuanhao's voice. She was overjoyed and hurried to that place. Xiao Yuanhao was holding a sword and waving it in front of him. 2 servants were serving him. There was a big box in front of him, which should be the gift that Princess Chen mentioned. He waved the sword for a while and put it down. Then he took out a bow from the box and tried it hard. He said to the servant beside him, Try it. Your Highness, I can't do it. I've never used this. A servant walked out with a bitter face and reached out to take the bow. But he stepped back a few steps because of the weight of the bow. Your Highness, why is this bow so heavy? It's heavy. Maybe my brother-in-law thinks that I should practice my arm strength. Xiao Yuanhao raised his arm and tried to show that he was strong. Your Highness, be careful. Don't hurt yourself. A woman's voice suddenly came from behind them. Yang ran over in a hurry and reached out to take the bow in the servant's hand. It seemed that she was afraid that the bow would hurt Xiao Yuanhao. The bow fell into Yang's hand. Yang took 2 steps back and fell heavily on the ground. She cried out in pain, Ouch! Xiao Yuanhao and the servant were both startled. Their eyes fell on Yang, who suddenly appeared. After looking her up and down, Xiao Yuanhao didn't recognize her. Who are you? Why did you suddenly run out? Looking at the place where she ran out, the two servants' faces suddenly changed. They hurriedly stood in front of Xiao Yuanhao. One of them even picked up the sword that Xiao Yuanhao put aside and said sharply, "Who are you? Where did you send the assassin?" The assassin. The other servant was a little timid. After saying this, he raised his neck and the blue veins on his neck stood out. It seemed that he was going to shout the next sentence. "I'm not an assassin. I'm Infanta Qinghua's servant girl. Your Highness, didn't you see me in Great Elder Princess's place just now?" Nyang hurriedly explained in fear that the timid servant would ruin her plan. She waved her hands and the bow fell on the ground. Xiao Yuanhao's eyes fell on Nyang. He looked her up and down and said, "It seems so." "Yes, I am." Nyang breathed a sigh of relief and said hurriedly, "What are you doing here? Did my grandmother ask you to come here?" Xiao Yuanhao said impatiently. He waved his hand and the two servants left. Since she was not an assassin, the servant would not stand in front of him like before. "When Great Elder Princess and Princess Chen asked me to come back. When I walked here, I twisted my ankle. I was resting here and happened to hear your servant talking. I didn't see it clearly. I rushed out because I heard that the bow is very heavy and I was afraid that your Highness would accidentally press it." Nyang said with fear and pointed at the bow placed by her feet. She only took 2 steps back. Xiao Yuanhao, who had taken the bow before, knew that even he would take more than 2 steps back if he accidentally got it. Just now, the servant almost fell on the ground. He had deliberately pulled him to prevent him from making a fool of himself on the spot. The servant who held the bow just now was a little older. He was 14 years old and had good arm strength, not to mention the woman in front of him. Although she fell on the ground at the last moment and seemed to be unable to hold the bow, Xiao Yuanhao saw it clearly. She did it on purpose. She took 2 steps very well. This woman was really not simple. "Thank you. You can go back now," Xiao Yuanhao said carelessly. He reached out to take a few arrows from the box on the ground and played with them with interest. The arrows were well made and the arrowhead was sharp. How could such a thing be used as a child's toy? Nyang couldn't help but feel speechless about Prince Jin. This kind of thing was obviously a sharp weapon. Was it something a child could play with? "Little heir, be careful. You'd better return these things to Prince Jin. You are still young. There will be plenty of opportunities to play with them in the future." Nyang advised him with concern. "I'll be fine. I just want to take a look," Xiao Yuanhao said carelessly. He looked at them for a few more times and suddenly thought of something. He looked at Nyang and said, "You said they were my mother's servant girls. My mother's servant girls are all gone, aren't they? Why are you still here? Why are you looking for my grandmother today?" Words one after another, he was a little disorganized. As an inexperienced child, he asked questions so casually. He didn't think that Great Elder Princess and Princess Chen asked him to leave because they didn't want him to know about this. Nyang had wanted to attract this heir's interest. Hearing what he said, she was overjoyed. It would be best if he could do everything quietly. Originally, she came to see Xiao Yuanhao. If Xiao Yuanhao didn't ask anything, how could she continue to act? Speaking of this, she looked at the 2 servants on both sides. Although the 2 servants no longer suspected that she was an assassin, they still looked at her with vigilance. "Stay away from me." Xiao Yuanhao waved his hand. The younger servant felt wronged and wanted to say something. But seeing Xiao Yuanhao stare at him, he had no choice but to step back with the other servant for more than a dozen steps. They stood still far away from them. "Now you can tell me what happened. Why did you want to avenge my mother? My mother went there because she was in poor health. Is there any other reason?" Xiao Yuanhao put down the arrow in his hand and looked up at Nyang. Although she was still a young child, she was quite dignified. Your mother was deliberately angered to death by Madame of Marquis Xing's mansion, Madame Jiang. At that time, the Infanta had just given birth to you and was depressed because of what happened to the former heir. Madame Jiang deliberately chose this time to anger your mother from time to time, saying that the former heir was killed by your mother. Your mother was weak at that time and couldn't bear it, so, Nyang wiped her tears with a handkerchief. She was very sad. What you said is true. Xiao Yuanhao's eyes also turned red. He gritted his teeth hard and said angrily, "Of course it's true. That's what I told Ru and Great Elder Princess and Princess Qin just now. If you don't believe me, you can go to Ru and Great Elder Princess or Princess Qin to inquire about it. But don't tell them that I said it." Nyang also said sincerely with red eyes. Chapter 1156. No, I have to go to my grandmother. Xiao Yuanhao turned around and was about to leave. "Little child, wait a minute." Nyang grabbed Xiao Yuanhao's sleeve and said, "I still have something to say." "What do you want to say?" "Say it." Xiao Yuanhao said angrily. "Little child, even if you rush over and ask her, so what? Do you want to deal with Madame Jiang? Even if she has done something wrong, she is still your second aunt." Nyang tried to persuade him. Of course, she could not let Xiao Yuanhao rush out recklessly. At that time, and Great Elder Princess and Princess Chen would not spare her. "Then what do you say?" Xiao Yuanhao was obedient. He stamped his feet and said, "The hatred of my parents is absolutely irreconcilable. I can't let her go like this." "Little child, that's what I said. Don't worry. After I enter Marquis Xing's mansion, I will definitely avenge for you. I also have the same idea, so I asked Ru and Great Elder Princess and Princess Qin for help. After I enter Marquis Xing's mansion, I can avenge for you." Nyang persuaded him. "You want to avenge my mother?" But Xiao Yuanhao was not so gullible. He looked her up and down. "My life was saved by your highness. Even if I have to pay for it, I will avenge your highness." Nyang took a deep breath and said in a low voice, "Thank you." Xiao Yuanhao looked at Nyang, suddenly stepped back and bowed to her. "Little child, you can't. I am just a servant girl. It is my duty to do such a thing." She hurriedly turned her body and limped to one side. It seemed that she was really injured just now. "Take a rest. I will ask someone to fetch the ointment." Seeing that she was a little inconvenient to move, Xiao Yuanhao said and asked a servant beside him to fetch the ointment for the wound. One servant left, and the other one stayed and watched from a distance. "Thank you, Your Highness. I have to go back. In the future, can I come to you if I need something? Great Elder Princess is too powerful, so I dare not disturb her often. Can you tell Great Elder Princess through you?" Yang looked at Xiao Yuanhao and asked. What she said made sense. Her maternal grandmother was of noble status. How could she be seen by just anyone? "You can come to the directorate to find me," Xiao Yuanhao said after thinking for a while. "Thank you, little heir. Thank you, little heir. With little heir's words, I can rest assured. I'm just afraid that when Jiangshi does something, the news will not reach Great Elder Princess's ears for a while and spoil the plan." Yang said repeatedly. She bowed sideways and then shed tears of joy. Seeing that it was about time, she said, "Little heir, this servant will take her leave first. There was a maid waiting for me earlier." "How is your foot?" Xiao Yuanhao asked. "It's no big deal. Don't worry, little heir." Since she had achieved her goal, she did not dare to stay any longer. She was afraid that someone would see it and report it to Great Elder Princess or Princess Qin. With Xiao Yuanhao's words, she could get in touch with him easily in the future. Moreover, it was not in Great Elder Princess's mansion, so it was much more convenient. Seeing that she insisted on leaving, Xiao Yuanhao did not keep her. He nodded and watched her limp into the peach forest in a hurry and leave in another direction. When Yang disappeared, Xiao Yuanhao said to the servant who stayed behind, "Send all the things to my yard later." After saying that, he left the servant and walked forward. The servant looked at him worriedly, and then looked up at the pavilion on the rockery that was higher than the yard in the distance. Then he answered. Since Prince Qin was there, the heir of Duke Xing must have gone to find Prince Qin. There would be no safety problem. Xiao Yuanhao really went to find Chu Luqian. When he went to the pavilion, he saw Chu Luqian still leaning against the fence with an uncontrollable anger on his face. Chu Luqian smiled. Seeing him coming over angrily, he slightly raised the corner of his mouth and said, "Is it done?" "It should be done." Brother-in-law, this woman is really not a good person, Xiao Yuanhao said angrily. He walked to Chu Luchen and sat down, saying with hatred, "It's not a day or two that Marquis Xing wants your father's title of nobility." Chu Liuchen's eyes were dark and cold. He reached out and patted Xiao Yuanhao's shoulder. "Your sister only has you as her younger brother. Don't let her down. Now her only blood relative is you. When we were in Jiangzhou, no one cared about your sister. Now she wants to give all her love to you." Xiao Yuanhao's eyes turned red. He lowered his head and said, "Brother-in-law, I know." Compared with his second uncle and second aunt who he could hardly remember, his sister and grandmother were his family. As he grew older, he gradually understood what it meant to be beaten to death. However, when he recalled the past, he couldn't help feeling that at least they had raised him up. Although the debt of raising them was very small, they still remembered that he was also a member of the Xiao family. "Your father and your mother were the victims of the fight for the title of nobility. You and your sister became orphans and even wandered in other places. It's also because of this that you and your sister can't be reunited. If you still care about the little debt of raising you up, you might as well return the title to them, lest they plot against you and your sister and let your grandmother fall into the abyss of pain. She just lost a daughter at that time, but now she will lose her grandson and granddaughter." Chu Liuchen's eyes fell on Xiao Yuanhao. Although his voice was lazy, it was frighteningly cold and dignified. "If you can't distinguish who is your closest relative, give up what originally belongs to you. In this way, you may be able to save your life." Chu Luchen told Xiao Yuanhao clearly that he didn't regard him as a pure child at this moment. He couldn't let Xiao Wanru be implicated by Xiao Yuanhao, even if he was her biological brother. Since this matter had been exposed, Chu Luchen thought it was the best to expose it to the end, so that all the filth could be exposed in front of Xiao Yuanhao. "Brother-in-law, don't worry. I know who is my family." Xiao Yuanhao's heart was hit hard by the meaning in Chu Liuchen's words. It was very painful, but he reacted and gritted his teeth, saying, "I'm grandma and sister's reliance and the only man in this mansion. I have to protect them." As a man, he should protect the people he cared about. Xiao Yuanhao understood this. In the past 3 years, it seemed that and Great Elder Princess had protected him very well on the surface and didn't allow him to get involved in anything. But in fact, he had learned from Chu Luchen secretly for 3 years. He had already changed from a young boy who knew nothing to a sensible person. He was absolutely not the ignorant child on the surface. When Xiao Wanru and Chu Luchen left, Xiao Yuanhao sent them to the carriage. Go back and be filial to grandma." Xiao Wanru turned around and told Xiao Yuanhao. Xiao Yuanhao, who had not grown up yet, was a little shorter than her. "Sister, don't worry. I got it." Xiao Yuanhao looked like an innocent and naive child and pulled Xiao Wanru's sleeve. Xiao Wanru lowered her head slightly. "Sister, I'll ask someone to tell you the next time that woman comes over." Xiao Yuanhao lowered his voice and said, looking very pure and kind. Xiao Wanru inexplicably saw some familiarity on his face. She looked sideways at Chu Luchen, who was smiling with his hands clasped behind his back, and thought that he did look pure and gentle. She couldn't help laughing and said, "How? You've grown up." She was just joking, but when she said it, her eyes turned red inexplicably. She hurriedly showed a smile to cover it up and turned around to help Chu Luchen get out of the carriage. She was afraid that she couldn't help crying if she stayed here. In the last life, she didn't know where this child went or had no chance to grow up at all. Now seeing him standing in front of her, she felt that it was a lifetime ago. Many things had changed in this life. She was no longer the miserable and humble girl in the last life. Chu Luchen got into the carriage. After coming in, he looked at Xiao Wanru, who was leaning against him with her eyes slightly red. He reached out to hold her in his arms naturally and patted her gently. Leaning in Chu Liuchen's arms, Xiao Wanru didn't say anything. She only felt that her heart was no longer so empty. In this life, she was not only alone, but also had someone to rely on. Her eyelashes fluttered twice and slowly fell down. The uneven shadow of peace under her eyes made her snow-white face look more gentle. The corners of her red lips were slightly raised. The carriage went all the way to Prince Chen's mansion. Xiao Wanru was carried out of the carriage by Chu Luqin in a daze. When she woke up, it was already 4 hours later. She had a good sleep without even a dream. It seemed that she had stirred up the last blood color of her last life from time to time and became relaxed. "Your Highness, you're awake." Yu Jie stepped forward and lifted the gauze curtain with a smile. "Where is His Highness?" Xiao Wanru took a cup of warm water from Chu Lu, took a sip and said, "His Highness just left. He told you to have a good rest and not to work too hard," Yu Jie said. Xiao Wanru got up. After washing up, she saw a fruit plate on the table. She became a little curious and asked, "Where did this fruit come from? Why haven't I seen it before?" It looked like an apple, but it was smaller than an ordinary apple and plump. At first glance, it could be seen that it was not the kind of unripe apple that had been picked. This is a gift from Concubine Lan in the Imperial Palace. It is said that it is a specialty of the Su country. She didn't bring many of them, and there are few concubines in the Imperial Palace who have them. However, Concubine Lan gave me this basin of fruit as a gift. Yu Jie said with a smile. It turned out to be Concubine Lan. It seemed to be expected, but also seemed to be unexpected. The matter about the Empress seemed to have calmed down now, and Concubine Lan also appeared in front of everyone. Without the previous restriction, Concubine Lan walked to the front of the stage, but she still lived in seclusion and didn't meet others. The Empress Dowager was ill. For the sake of tranquility, she didn't allow the S to greet her. The Empress kept a low profile and also said that she was not feeling well, so she didn't allow the S to greet her. Although everyone was very curious about Concubine Lan, few people had seen her. It was said that Concubine Da and Concubine Ming in the Imperial Palace were also stopped when they went to Concubine Lan's Double Breath Hall. They only said that Concubine Lan was not feeling well and couldn't meet guests. That you're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.